Zelazny might have a run here. He pulls up, 2 laps to go at Auto Club Speedway. What a run this has been. 5 cars out front just dancing around for the lead. Salas back to the bottom. Honeycutt stuck up top. Slide job out of Salas. Crossover out of Honeycutt.
23 showing a big run here. He does.
You see Salas starting to cover it up. He goes up the racetrack. Honeycutt's clear of them both. He shoves it up in front of the 23, gets himself loose. It'll be white flag this time by. Salas down low. Zelazny looking for a hole. Side by side, 3 wide, Coffee in it. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Who is going to win the Luke's Playhouse 200? Honeycutt controlling the race. Coffee in second. Tires are aging. Zelazny off the top rope. Got a little bit free. He's going to crash with lights. And yes, wall there. Who knows? Honeycutt, though, leading the race. Can Coffee get a run? He's going to send it. He hits him. Big bump and run. Coffee's going to try and get away. Can Salas get there? Coffee's going to crash. Salas is going to crash. Watch Nick Lights here to the stripe. Salas is going to do it with no front bumper.
Unbelievable.
Wow. There's the white flag from Barney the Flagman. 1 lap to go at Long Beach. White flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams.
Yeah, can really hold him off. He looked like he's started to gap Cantonio just ever so slightly. Got about half of a second. It's been hovering right around there. Oh, Cantonio really pushing. He's sideways out of turn number 1. But Rayleigh just keeping that car pointed in the right direction. Nice and smooth, able to keep it going. It's going to be tough. Antonio knows that there's not very many chances, even if he can get close enough to him to make a move. So we'll see as they come through 6 and 7, head toward turn 8 onto the backstretch.
Deeper in the field, nothing changing. Lap traffic ahead. It's Kevin Peak and Bradley Alvis right in front of our race leaders down East Seaside Way. And to turn number 9 for the final time, lap traffic in the way, and Rayleigh goes for it on peak. He sends it into turn 9. He knows he can't wait. He knows he can't give an opportunity to Kevin Cantonio. Cantonio's gonna take it anyway, ships it into the hairpin, and Rayleigh's gonna get away. Thomas Rayleigh is going to be a race winner in the North American Racing League. A last lap bump and run wasn't enough. This man wins at Long Beach.
Wow, what a finish coming through that hairpin. I thought they were all gonna wad it up. We had lap traffic in there, staying in there. Wow.
Hunter Sr. completed the Daytona sweep last week as the sun set. Now Dalton Tucker has the chance to complete a sweep of his own as we hit a racetrack for the second time for the second week in a row in the NORA Retro Cup Series, revisiting Pocono Raceway for race 20 on this 36 race calendar. Storylines are buzzing with anything from the chase to milestone starts being made, from tracks being taken off the schedule to a new car being raced in the near future, all with a 300-mile main event coming up shortly. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Pocono, Pennsylvania. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Burtis alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the NORA Pocono 300. Today's coverage is brought to you by Harpoon Designs, by NORA, and by Whiplash Creative. And Zach, it has not been very long since we were here. In fact, it was June 1st when we were here for the first of two races at Pocono this season. And to get back into the swing of things, I must say, this racetrack has 5 corners.
I'll do you one better. It has 3 corners.
That's 2 worse, actually, if we're following math. But turn 1 at Pocono, of course, modeled after Trenton's turns 1 and 2. Turn 2, modeled after Indianapolis as well, any of the 4 corners, particularly turn 1 or turn 3. And turn 3 here is modeled after Milwaukee's turns 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. Take your pick. And this place is so unique. It really is kind of a smorgasbord. I know you like using that word sometimes. A smorgasbord of racetracks put into one. It is such a special place to race. And I know we could talk about it for quite a while. We kind of got a late start on our pre-race show this evening because we noticed an imitator out there in the 59 car dressed up as our number 72, but we'll get to that in a little bit, Zach. Of course, to get on with tonight's pre-race show, we can go right into points and talk about that chase cut line that I mentioned in my open, and there you see 10 points separate Ronnie Norman and Jacob Gladulich. The big headline of this is the fact that Ryan Housden missed last week and Kyle Tubb is missing this week, so that is going to move this cut line around a good bit. I would expect Tubb to be right back on or below that cut. We could even see Brady Motes go from 12th to potentially 10th or better in these points after this evening's race, and that could make things a little bit easier on like Donald Kite, maybe even Jake Christenberry, who we'll be talking with shortly in the number 11, Zach.
Yeah, I anticipate seeing Brady Motes climb that ladder a little bit, especially going into these next few tracks, Andrew, because, you know, one of the things that we were talking about pre-race was our fantasy lineups, and we had to make a couple of changes around, and you told me that I should go ahead and put Brady Motes on my lineup. But looking at this racetrack, Andrew, looking at Pocono Raceway, I feel like it would be better suited to save Brady for a different race, and I'm looking at the next week. That's going to be Indianapolis, and I feel like that's going to be a great race for him to potentially, if he doesn't tonight, point himself in on that chase cut line, because he's got Ronnie Norman, Jacob Gladulich to contend with. However, big thing so far is Kyle Tubb is a scratch for the night, so maybe these guys could get some good points rolling out of Pocono.
And that's exactly the concern for car 32. He's been fighting tooth and nail to get above the cut line. Now he's 92 up, but missing this evening's race here at Pocono Raceway. We'll talk more about
Vincent
that.
Arthur.
Yeah, Pocono might be another start and park night for Vincent Arthur this evening. He missed the first race here back in June. We'll see how long he races tonight, if he races tonight. Time will tell there for driver 24. But moving on in our program, Zach, of course, we have a couple of drivers to talk to. We can go ahead and talk with the first of them, and we got to scroll down a little ways. He's down there talking to some of the other juicy Spider camp, and that's going to be Noah Blackwell, somebody we haven't really spoken with a whole lot here in the NORA Retro Cup Series. But Noah, an opportunity to check in with you, as you've been rather fast. In fact, I believe you're starting on the front row tonight here at Pocono Raceway. What's that going to be like firing off into turn 1 here? As oh, looks like my graphic didn't want to update. That's okay. We've got this to rely on. Regardless, front row, Pocono, it can be wild down into turn 1.
Yeah, I'm just thankful I don't have to start any further back, because I do not want to be back behind people going into turn 1 and just judge where everyone's going to be braking, because I might just overshoot the corner and just wreck myself, because I do not like this track. But yeah, I've had some speed recently. I actually took some time to practice before I qualified this week, so partially why I'm up in the front row, but yeah, should be fun.
Well, practice makes perfect at Pocono. I think the biggest thing that I'm looking at when it comes to you guys out there is kind of backing up Andrew's sentiments a little bit with how this track is going to be and how you said that it's going to be just trying not to overshoot the corner or outbrake yourself, really. At that point, are you just looking to maximize consistency, maybe keep yourself in a good fight overall throughout the races? Well, we've got a lot of laps to click off.
I think you just got to take care of the front right, with how deep you have to charge the corner. Hopefully the race pace, everyone slows down a good bit, so that way everyone can save tire. But up front, I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know who's got pole, but maybe they'll slow down and then let everyone else save. But if not, then I just got to try and keep up, you know. And yeah, hopefully I can save tire. I'm not good at it in the car.
And of course, Noah, you're a part-timer here racing kind of out of the Juicy Spouter camp, kind of out of the Roush camp, which does technically make you teammates to Chase Durheim and Chance Durheim, both of which are racing tonight. Is that any help to you to kind of rely on two separate camps of, you know, what should you be doing? How can you save tire? As you mentioned, maybe you're not so good at it compared to some of these guys that you're racing.
Yeah, I'd say Hunter definitely helped with qualifying. He was the one who told me that I needed downshift, or I probably would have never guessed. With Chase and Chance, I think is his name. Yeah, Chance. They're pretty fun to hang out with sometimes in chat, but usually I am hanging out with Hunter and Donnie and them, just having fun. Yeah, I don't know how to save tire at all. This car is just the polar opposite for me. I'm used to trucks where you drive on the right rear. So.
Well, we see Noah B Media across the hood and the side of this race car. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I am a photographer for the NorCal area around Sacramento and like San Francisco and stuff. So I put myself on the car because nobody's gonna pay me. So might as well do myself here. But yeah, if you go to Instagram, you type in Noah B Media and then you put an underscore after, you'll see me and all my work. So if you're in the NorCal area and you want a photographer, you can always hit me up. So yeah.
Some good racetracks up in that part of the country, particularly Sonoma and Laguna Seca. But Noah, hey, good to talk to you. We haven't talked to you a whole lot yet this year. Maybe tonight's the night. Best of luck.
Hopefully I'll talk to you guys while winning. Maybe. You know?
We'll see. Just might be talking to driver 99 in post-race this evening, Zach. And I mean, if you look back at his result, I believe, from Pocono earlier this season, he did pretty solid. He's starting up front tonight. I think a lot going right in the 99 camp currently. Who's to say, though? Obviously, a lot is going to happen this evening, and there's a lot of racing to get through, 300 miles of it, in fact, as we'll pivot over to our second driver on the list this evening. That's going to be, as you can see, Jake Christenberry, kind of alone right now in his team channel, so we'll go ahead and grab him as he sits in the pit lane. And Jake, of course, we've seen you in a handful of paint schemes now in that number 11, kind of doing a tour of Denny Hamlin and Jason Leffler and just number 11 paint schemes in general over at Joe Gibbs Racing, it seems like. And this is a fantastic one. I really do enjoy this, but the big subject for you, I feel like, has to be maximizing points this evening. We don't have stages. You just gotta have to go for bonuses with leading laps and trying to finish as highly as you can. So how do you try to finish at least in the top 10 here tonight?
Well, we didn't really give ourselves a good shot at it. We had a terrible qualifying effort for this one, so yeah, just trying to grind out as much points as I can. We're getting close. I don't know if mathematically I can actually make it in or not, but we keep trending up every week, so that's the goal. I think with where I'm starting tonight, I think a top 10 is probably a win for us, but I also don't want to set the bar too high and then disappoint myself. So top 15, around the top 10, I would definitely be happy with that.
And I hate to be the guy who'd say I would want for you to shoot a little higher. Actually, I don't hate to be that type of guy. But what do you think it's going to take for you to shoot a little higher, maybe go for that win, maybe go for that top 5, and really grab some points and help your chase endeavors, that is, as you are still within the margin to make it in, but you're pretty far back on the cut line.
Yeah, I think, the way that this is set up, I think the most important thing is qualifying. And unfortunately, that's probably one of the worst things that I do every week. Not getting much practice and then having to jump in and essentially run 2 laps, and hopefully it's your best laps. But yeah, I think with as good as this league is, I think, setting yourself in the back of the pack, especially without stages and things like that, it's really hard to gain track position and get those points. But I don't know, I think just stay clean and, stay out of trouble and just get what we can. Hopefully, count on other guys to make mistakes. And that's kind of what we've been doing. Is I feel like we've had speed sometimes. I feel like there's a few races we might have been able to win and just for whatever reason couldn't get it done. But I also had, again, better qualifying positions. So we'll see what we can do. We got a lot of cars to pass tonight, but we'll see what we can do.
And this is a racetrack that is notoriously, I think, pretty difficult to pass at, and typically it takes some pit stops going right, or even fuel strategy like we saw back in June to move through the field. Is there any plan specifically with that? I mean, this is, again, a racetrack that we typically see fuel strategy at in some kind of way. Do you have any kind of plan going into this race?
Not really. I know being in the back, we can kind of maybe stretch fuel a little bit, but the thing too with this track is you don't get a lot of natural yellows, so I wouldn't be surprised if it went green all the way. I hope that it doesn't. But yeah, I don't really have a plan. Just like I said, stay clean. Maybe try to manage some fuel, stay out longer to make my later pit stops a little shorter. But yeah, I think again, just stay clean and try to pass some cars.
Well, Jake, it's good to talk to you as always. Of course, tonight is going to be an interesting one here at this racetrack. Is there a racetrack coming up, maybe other than Pocono, that you feel like you got a chance to maybe strike that win column finally?
Well, next week we got Indy, and every year, no matter what car, what league I'm in, I always put a circle around that one. It's the home track, so no matter when I go there, I feel very confident. So I'm excited to go there next week. And like I said, I know we've got some really good guys in here, but that's just one track that I feel really confident about, and I'm excited to go there and hopefully get a win.
Well, there you go. Maybe we'll be talking to the driver of the 11 next week at Indianapolis. Jake, best of luck.
Thanks, guys.
Christenberry looking to put Joe Gibbs Racing in victory lane one of these weeks for the first time this season. We'll try to get him back down to his team channel. There's so many I can't get to it, Jake. 1 second.
You're good, man.
We'll get him down there eventually as the driver of the number 11 gets ready to go racing this evening. And, of course, sitting in the pit lane currently, but 300 miles looming ahead for all of these drivers, Zach. And now that we've spoken to a couple of drivers, let's go ahead and do my favorite segment. That is going to be Gas and Go, where we take a look at 5 topics across the land of NORA Retro Series Racing and get ready to go racing, talk about them, and just have a good time. It's rapid fire, Zach. All 5 coming at you. Number 1 on the list. It's actually right back to Jake Christenberry. Can he make the chase? We just talked to him. 226 south of the cut line. That's just to Ronnie Norman, who's currently 10th. Jake did also miss one race. That's a big part of this, but can he overcome that? Can he still make it in?
Jake is firing on all cylinders, and he is not letting anything stop him. And even then, Ronnie Norman having some bad races in between, as we've got very few to go. I think it's still possible. It's a long shot, but it's possible.
So we'll keep an eye on the number 11 car in that cut line as these weeks draw on by Indianapolis. One that he's got circled. We'll have to watch out for the number 11 next week. And we've got a milestone start, actually, for a driver out in the field this evening. Caden Henry Oaks is in the sim. He did finally make it into the session, and he is going for start number 10 tonight, Zach. Do we think we finally get him in the top 5?
I think it's possible. I think anything's possible. As long as he executes properly and keeps his nose clean all race long, which is going to be a big thing in my opinion, I think he's got a solid shot. I think the opportunity is well and there for him to get it done.
We'll keep an eye on driver number 5 this evening out of Front Royal, Virginia. He dives off into turn number 1 there in this practice session. Next up on the bulletin, Zach, how about Dalton Tucker? He won this race back in June, has not been to victory lane since.
I think Tucker is walking into this race with a little bit of renewed vigor, I'll say. He dominated through a lot of these earlier races, and I think maybe he's looking to recapture some of that. So as long as he executes the way he has been, the way we know he's capable of, he's got a fair shot of returning the victory lane.
Moving on down the line is Pocono Raceway on the chopping block. I know this is kind of a home race for you, at least to where you're originally from, Zach, but a lot of chatter recently as the 2006/27 NORA schedule proposals have been opened up to the team owners and the masses within the league Discord server. A lot is going on in this conversation. Road courses, short tracks, and everything, and Pocono is a track that's coming up as one to take out of the schedule.
I think maybe a good way to do it, if they truly want to take Pocono off the schedule, would be to do as NASCAR did and give it just one race date rather than 2. I think Pocono's a really good track, but I think if we're going to go forward with taking it off the schedule, I would at least leave it on, but maybe only give it one race date.
That's exactly what is being tossed around the league currently. And on that same kind of note, Zach, here we go. We're getting a look at, of course, we know in 2005, NASCAR finally tested the car of tomorrow, the COT, and did a lot more testing in 06. You saw pictures start to surface online in late 2005, early 06, and there has been a lot of chatter, specifically from Josh Conover, on running this car within NORA next season. I don't think that's going to happen next year. I think we will see a proper 2007 implementation, but where do you land on this topic?
I'm not a fan of it. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm not really a fan of it. I would like to wait for the car of tomorrow at least until 2008. I say give it just a couple more years. Let these guys run this car out. It's a great car, and I enjoy seeing the 3rd generation stock car on the racetrack, and I think or 4th generation really. But I think we should let these guys have their fun for now before they have to jump into a car that is wildly different.
Well, they did run it for about half the races in 2007 in the NASCAR Cup Series. Maybe we see that kind of implementation. I think that's what the league is tracking towards, but certainly a lot to consider with that being a possibility as the years move on. Warm-up ending, you see Tucker, Durheim, Malone, Jones, and Senior, the top 5. If you are out there and have not made your picks yet for our Whiplash fantasy game, now is the time to do so. We have given you until 8:35 tonight. Make your edits, make your final picks. You've got 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes to do so as we get onto the grid here within the broadcast and get ready to go racing this evening. So be on it. Do not waste any time. We are about to go racing from Pocono Raceway. Make your final picks. It's going to be interesting to see exactly where everybody lands and everything. I'm looking forward to seeing how everyone does here in the fantasy game tonight. And on that subject, we can get into fantasy standings coming into this race, Zach. And here's a look at them. Look at that, John Skavnicki on top in the, well, he's got one win. I almost said in the 38. Technically, yes, he's in the 38, but in this regard, not really in anything. He's just in the lead over Kevin Baumler, Brady Moats, Josh Conover, and everybody else, even myself there in 5th. And Zach, you're finally in this top 10 a couple weeks running. Also, super. Arthur Marston, he has made it into the top 10. Chris Winstone just on the outside, but he's, of course, looking to get back in. That fantasy game is always fun to talk about. And in the same vein, before we get racing this evening, how about power rankings, Zach? And this is going to be impacted for sure by the fact that Vincent Arthur is maybe not going to run the full race tonight. We've heard some rumors on that note from his team owner, Josh Conover.
Is he on the grid?
He is on the grid, so he's here to race, but may not be racing the full event. We'll see, but he is going to start 9th place here this evening. Vincent Arthur leading the power rankings, Dalton Tucker 2nd. I think this is vastly different going into Indianapolis next week, personally.
I don't fully disagree. as we roll in Indianapolis, things will obviously change, but it's going to change a lot more so with drivers not potentially being able to get to the checkered flag. But Andrew, that all remains to be seen.
That it does, and drivers have just been given the go-ahead, it looks like, to roll off of the grid. So let's go ahead and roll through your starting grid this evening for race number 20 on the calendar. It's going to start off with none other than Brian Jones in the number 45. He'll be starting this race alongside Noah Blackwell there on the front row. Jacob Malone, Sonoma and Montreal winner, alongside Dalton Tucker. And it's Ryan Housden and Josh Conover in row 3. Then Kevin Baumler and Jacob Gladgelich in the 4th row, followed up by Vincent Arthur and Brady Motes to complete your top 10.
Rolling outside the top 10 in the 11th spot, you'll find Isaiah Watrous and Hunter Sr. to his outside, rolling off of row number 6. Row number 7, right behind them in the 13th and 14th spot, Nick Lasius and Cody Anderson to his outside, 15th and 16th on the starting grid. You will find Brad Fulham and Kyle Rochelle, the 91 and the 12, to make up the early stages of this field. Anthony Korbach and Caden Henry Oaks for 17th and 18th on the grid, and 19th and 20th you'll find Matthew George and John Skavnicki.
Back in 21st, it's Ronnie Norman trying to stay above that chase cut line. Josh Adams rolls off from 22nd. Farther back, it's Jake Christopher and Rusty Rafferty, followed by Nick Hom and Trenton Johns, making his, I believe, second start on the season. So we're getting to Michael Jr. That'll be Michael Durham Jr. in the 27th spot, and even though it doesn't show his last name, Chase Durheim starts over his right shoulder, followed by Donald Kite and Chance Durheim, making the field for the first time since this spring. Further back in 31st, Michael Ponder Jr. alongside Matt Vorendren making his debut, and Ross Leinbach here for the first time this season. We can take a look quickly at Whiplash SimCam's race details. This is a 120-lap, 300-mile, 483-kilometer race. 77% fuel out there, 10 change sets. Should be a lot of fun. And Zach, we're going to turn them loose, this time off of turn number 5. Yes, I said it. Into the start zone at Pocono Raceway. Ryan Jones in control. Green flag for 300 miles in Pennsylvania. Off turn 1 and down the Long Pond straightaway. 2, 3, 4 wide, deep in the field as they race towards the tunnel turn, Zach.
That tunnel turn is what catches a lot of drivers out, but single file for the most part through the field. First side-by-side battle is Gladgelich with one to his inside. They're going to get a little squirrely off of turn number 2 and into turn number 3, because what turn 4, as it says off of turn number 3, they'll keep rolling on through. That is Brady Motes to the outside of Kevin Baumler, who was side-by-side with Gladgelich, and first lap completed. Brian Jones leads us past the start-finish line.
A great look at the entire field, rolling by the speed shot there into turn 1, and now from high above, you see your top 4. Jones in deep. He slows down mid-corner, and that brings the 99 nearly right to his back bumper. As behind, we've got trouble. Problems off of turn 1. Oh my gosh, it's most of the field. We have wadded them all up in turn 1.
See, John Skavnicki has some damage. There's
Cars
a lot of notable
towed.
drivers.
Michael Ponder has got a bunch of damage in his number 98. Looks like the 59 of Leinbach has got issues. Chance Durheim came to a slow. John Skavnicki, yeah, his front bumper dangling off the front of that race car. Nick Hom, I saw, was part of it. That's both Roush Yates cars, or just rather Yates cars, I should say. Baumler's a big part of it, and I think it started with Baumler, and that troubles me, Zach, because he, as we'll get to in a moment, was the pick by Super to win this race. We'll get to those in a moment. We tried to in pre-race and just didn't get the opportunity to do so, but this is going to be interesting down in turn 1.
Well, Caden Henry Oaks is the only driver out of this bunch that has a meatball flag, a pit for repair flag.
I'm not sure where this starts.
Down into 1.
Might actually be here with the 15, possibly? No,
No, it's
it was
behind
farther
them.
back. It was with maybe the 81 of
Oh, we see it spinning in the
of
background.
Baumler. Wow. A lot of cars.
Do we dare count?
I don't know about that, but we'll see. So here's Baumler in the Bass Pro Shops number 81 into turn 1. He was involved in an early incident
Brady.
here in June, and yeah, Brady Motes just had a big checkup with Gladulich and Baumler left with nowhere
2, 3,
to go.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm just going to say half the field.
This is so uncharacteristic of this field in general, but Motes, I don't know what happened to him down in turn 1. Like, he checked up really hard, and I mean, everybody just... Wow, that's one of the biggest crashes I think we've ever seen in this league.
That was intense.
Let's go on board of driver 8 here into turn 1 and try to theorize what may have happened. Downshifted, and he just stabbed the brakes. I mean, that's difficult. I get if you're tight up the racetrack, you know, you want to try to make the corner, but you can't stop on people's noses. That did not go well at all.
I'm sure Brady's probably kicking himself. I'm sure he's glad he didn't
he's
exactly
fine.
get wadded up.
Yeah, he got away from it A-okay. Everybody else paid the price. Here's Chance Durheim's view to turn 1. First time he's raced since back in the spring. Chase Durheim is also back here. Rusty Rafferty gets a piece of this. There goes Matt Vorndred on the inside. Man. It's Linebach getting into the 17 rather late.
And Caden Henry Oaks has removed himself from the race. He is done for the night.
Let's look at Caden. He was actually spun around by Kevin Baumler here early in the race in the, I guess, spring, if you will, in June. And he's got a lot of damage after this. And yeah, he just calls it a day. The right front completely destroyed. So start number 10, unfortunately, will not be the first top 5 for driver 5. Let's get one more look at this, maybe for Josh Adams. He was right around Caden into the corner, but they have their own crash, it feels like. And so many good cars in this. I saw Kristen Berry went sliding around after a big punt from whoever was behind him. Matthew George, Brad Fulham. Chase Durham even got a piece. I mean, that is huge for so many drivers so early in this race. And Zach, I hate that it's going to impact the next thing we're about to do, but we do want to do win picks nonetheless. So we tried this a little bit last week. This is a new graphic we're working on. Bear with us as we fine tune it, but we are including Silas Nerby, and that is super. If you didn't know, in the picks here today, since this is a broadcaster win pick. We do have his pick, and it is Kevin Baumler. He's still in the race, but I don't know that he's going to be winning this thing now, but there he is anyways in the graphic for you, Zach. Who do you have to win this race now that we've got a big crash to start things off?
Well, I've already got a fantasy lineup pick to win, so I think I'm just going to stick with that, and that's going to be Dalton Tucker in that 3 car. He is a little bit closer to the front of the field, so...
Probably 4th.
Yeah, I think he's got a really good shot. Won the race. I'm getting tongue-tied. He won the first Pocono race, so I see no reason why he can't double up. Hunter Sr. doubled up last week.
There's a look at Dalton Tucker as he rolls through turn 2 here under caution. I like it, and I picked him for fantasy as well to win the race, and I will keep him as my fantasy pick to win, but I want to get a little more creative for my broadcast pick to win, and I'm going to go
Are you
actually...
saying I'm not creative?
Correct. I'm going to go actually with driver 99, Noah Blackwell, for my broadcast pick to win. I liked his little bit of confidence there. I know he said he doesn't really know how to save tires in this car just yet, but starting up front, still second. Obviously, we had the caution there early, but why not? Go for something a little bit off the wall. Pick the 99. It was Kurt Busch who won this race back in 05 in the number 97. The 97 not raced here this season. maybe the 99 can break through for a win here at Pocono. Green flag is back out. Let's try to get this thing restarted the right way. Already a move from Malone into turn 1, a block from Jones. Malone, the much better line through the corner.
Three wide for second. What are they going to do going down to the tunnel turn, Andrew? This could get dicey. They're back to double file. Brian Jones gets clear. Blackwell keeps the nose in there. He's going to stay after it. And they'll chase him down into turn number 3 as Vincent Arthur looks to the inside. He's going to get up to the 5th spot, look to the inside of his teammate for 4th. And they're double up as Malone is going to drive away from the field.
Malone, a big restart in that number 18. Jones, a decent start, but he lost the lead. Another big start out of the 24. Vincent Arthur able to get a couple of spots. He does now drop back behind the number 3 into turn 1 this time. And Zach, I tell you what, I'm living the life. I am sometimes pampered. Sometimes I get ice cream delivered. Sometimes I get water and rock stars, as we've got more trouble. Matthew George, problems in turn 1.
Oh, that's a big problem right there on the left front. That car is destroyed. We are staying green, though. He is towed to the garage. And that is more than likely going to be his day done. That's some hefty, hefty damage on that 25 car.
He was right in front of Brady Motes into turn 1. Really hope this wasn't connected. But it was. That is the second time the 8 car has gotten deep into the corner and impacted somebody's race. At least it's only 1 car this time, but Brady is #struggling.
From what I understand, he made a mention on the driver communications that he's having some brake issues, which I think is clearly evident at this point, but he is having some...
You don't say!
He's having a couple of brake issues.
Oh, look, I respect the hustle to try and keep racing, but I'm not going to say he should pull over. But I don't know that we should be making side-by-side moves into turn 1 then. And
he said he was pulling over, but that might have been when he was getting the EOL for causing the first caution of the race.
Yeah, possibly. And look, we're all fans of Brady Motes here, especially since he drives the number 8. But yeah, especially after the first go-around, Zach, if you already knew you had the issue, you already caused a big crash, I really don't know that move should have been made. So hopefully that's a moment of hindsight for the driver of the 8 as a couple of cars go down low down the front stretch. Christenberry was one of them. I believe Housden was the other. Not a whole lot of changing up front. It's Malone leading over Jones, Blackwell, Conover, and Tucker. The big glaring omission from this race lineup tonight that we saw in the first race here was the driver who has the most laps led at Pocono in league history. That's Dustin Kleba. He has absolutely been the best driver here in the league. He's just not here this evening. A lot of work commitments for him, kind of mucking things up, as they say, and he just has not been here very often. As now Brady Motes going to fall back behind the 28 of Nick Geilis and takes an easier approach there to turn 3 that time. There we go, Zach. What does Matt Vorndran have to say to you?
What is this? What is this slander?
That's not slander, it's factual information. Matt Vorndran racing tonight for Whiplash Racing, operating as Kirk Shelmerdine Racing over here in NORA, and Vorndran was the winner of the Whiplash Racing League, if I can get the name out. It's our own league.
Dumping him on Wednesday.
He ran the Whiplash Racing League Legends race at Slinger last week that was paired up with the Sarah National Tour for their Slinger Nationals, and Zach, Matt beat you in a Legends car.
Slander. Absolute slander.
It's not slander if it's true. Moves being made. Ryan Housden looking around right behind Cody Anderson. This is farther up in the field. You know, we have had a couple of interesting people join our fantasy game. I say that, just not people you would expect. The biggest one is Jennifer Housden. I'm not sure if she's the mother, the wife, the girlfriend, sister, I don't know. We don't know the exact terms of the relationship there. We just know that she's got the Housden last name, and hopefully she's watching tonight, but she's been picking for the Fantasy League the last handful of weeks, and oh, into the wall there goes Cody Anderson. That should be a spot here for Ryan Housden. She picks Ryan as often as she can, but of course you can't pick people in back-to-back weeks. That's the, one stipulation around the league, but she did pick Ryan tonight. So, obviously hoping that he runs towards the front. This will be 7th place now for car 15.
Working on Vincent Arthur, working on getting it back at least. Was in front of the 24 car, and he's got a little ways to go to catch up to the 24 car, but it's a long race, a long way to go. As to the inside, Cody Anderson on the 15 of Housden. It's going to dissolve pretty quickly, and they'll get single file heading down into turn number 2.
Boy, Zach, there seems to be a theme in the DEI cars tonight and not making turn 1.
Oof. That's a low blow right there.
I'm just
that's
saying.
A low blow.
He went
Actually,
really deep.
It's not even a low blow because they can't get to the bottom.
Aha! There you go. Yeah. No, I mean, Housden just went up the racetrack there in turn 1, and you see Anderson taking advantage of it. Ah, Jennifer is the proud mom. She just let us know. How about that? That's pretty cool. That is really cool. It is very cool to have her and hopefully more family members playing soon. That's the goal of it, is to not just have racers picking themselves, but to have family members and friends and I said family, but family, friends, fans. That's what I was looking for. Getting in on it and playing the game, and having a little bit of extra skin in these races versus just the drivers doing so betwixt themselves. As there's some great battling farther back. You see the 17 of Chance Durheim, like I said, back for the first time in several weeks, months even. He's running top 15 as it's Norman and last week's winner Hunter Sr. battling. This is for 15th spot.
Andrew, I'm going to say it. I'm not the biggest Hunter Sr. fan right now. He stole $50 from me.
He didn't steal anything from you. You offered it up, and he happily accepted.
And he happily won the challenge. So, for those wondering, during the Talladega race, I stupidly decided to say on broadcast that if one of the Morgan McClure Motorsports cars were to win the Talladega race, Murtis Sports would put up $50 for the Noble 5, or the 5, I think they just referred it to. It's based off the Noble 5 from the Winston era. Murtis Sports would put up $50 to the pot that was added to that pot, and the best finishing driver of that 5 would receive that $50, and, well, don't be known, it was Hunter Sr. So not only did he make me put my money where my mouth was, he took my money. So, dang.
Unfortunate scenes for the driver of the 02 Legend car on Tuesday nights at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but here we go, battle 3 wide almost into turn 1. There's a lot of battles across the racetrack. In fact, you see just ahead, Chase Durham moving up through the field. He makes the move there on Donald Kite and Jacob Gladjulich, and man, look at Matt Vorndran taking that Shalmerdine 72 into the top 10, trying to squeeze there to the outside of Gladjulich. This is for 11.
He's going for it.
And he's going to make the move here to turn 1. Whoa! Vincent Arthur! He's pulling off the racetrack, and we knew that he might start and park the car. Did not think he'd be slowing down under green like this.
Well, it is better than just parking it on the racing surface and towing. I wonder if maybe there's an issue? I would love to see the 24 continue in the race, but he is just going
It does
very,
almost
very
appear
slow
as
right
though
now.
he may have money shifted the car, Zach. You see, he's in neutral. The engine is, I mean, technically running 300 RPMs, but it's effectively shut off.
There's no pit for repair flag.
I am confused as to the exact situation here for driver 24. He may just be coasting it around to the pit lane. It certainly is doing that bit, but what exactly is the circumstance here for the 24? Let's go back and see. I just want to see turn 1, if possible. Because that would be where he would have downshifted, if he downshifted, to potentially money shift. And let's just watch from the tower here. Is there a puff of smoke out the back of the 24 car? I didn't see one. Oh, there was, Zach. You saw the nose drop.
I saw the nose drop, but I didn't see the puff of smoke, unless I just was not paying attention.
Watch and listen here for the 24. There's third gear. Listen, back through the revs. He's going to pull fourth once they exit the banking. Money shift. Or he may have gotten the clutch in time to save the engine, Zach. Could his shifter have malfunctioned there? That's what it almost looks like, because I didn't hear the crunch of the engine letting go. One more time. Watch the revs, too. It's like as soon as he recognizes it, he puts the clutch in and lets the car rev down. He tries to get it back in gear and it just won't go.
Wonder if, and I may be gasping at straws at this one, but I wonder if he is just, we already knew that he was going to be getting into here late. I wonder if he's just exhausted, might have just made a mistake.
Well, Vincent Arthur has pulled off and is now out of the race. Issues as well around the same time for Trenton Johns. He is now listed out of the race. Also, one thing we didn't really catch while we were checking out the midfield, Ryan Jones has retaken the lead here at Pocono. A handful of laps ago, he's out ahead of Jacob Malone by a little over a second. Conover in third, Tucker fourth, then Blackwell in fifth. Anderson is up to sixth, Halliston seventh, with Durheim, Kite, and Vorndran the remainder of your top 10 after now 18 laps of 120 this evening. And I'm looking back through league information here to find our fuel windows, Zach. I believe these guys who did not pit under the opening caution, I believe they are about 6 to 7 laps away from pitting. The typical range is about 24 laps. These guys, of course, had that caution to save some fuel. The top 7 all stayed out, no fuel added to their cars. So I do wonder exactly how long they can go. And we talked a lot about this back, well, in June. You can run this race backwards, and it's almost perfectly 24 laps to each run. In fact, it would be perfectly 24 laps to each run. 5 runs, 4 pit stops. Anything you can do to try and save laps here and do your best to eliminate a pit stop is going to work in your favor. So if you can get 26, 27 laps out of this run, maybe get 25, 26 out of the next, you're at least putting something towards that. I don't know that you're going to be able to eliminate a stop without another caution or two, but it's certainly worth giving it a shot.
You got to take a swing at it. If you don't try, then how will you ever know if it'll work or not? The things that are still open and available in terms of strategy for these guys need to be explored. As Hunter Senior taps the wall a little bit, running side by side here. This is going around the lap car, the 49.
That was not a lapped car. That was Ronnie Norman on the outside of Krobach in the 49, and Gladula just hit in the pit lane.
Oh my goodness.
Zach, that is a sign as he tries to get down to pit speed. Hopefully he did. Keeps it in 4th gear. That is a sign maybe of things to come. If he's pitting early, I'm a little bit concerned for the rest of these guys. He typically goes long on fuel. Why is he pitting early?
Watching for speeding penalties here. Seeing what may end up becoming of the 20 car. He's up on the left side. And he's out and away. No speeding penalties there for the 20. This is really early. Especially for Gladulus, one of the guys that we usually see run long all the time. So this could be a power move, potentially, as like for the third spot. Tucker is up on the inside of Malone.
Jacob Malone finally looks human.
Forward.
He lost second place to Josh Conover within the last couple of laps, and now losing third to Tucker. The driver of the 18 dominated Sonoma and Montreal and has been good on the ovals as well. Chicagoland comes to mind, nearly won that race. He was even good here back in June. I mean, this 18 car has just been lighting this league up, and tonight he finally looks human. He's even in the top 10 of the power rankings. 9th place actually coming into this evening.
Talking about looking human, Andrew, I know we're only 22 laps into a 120 lap race, but Josh Conover is making you put your money where your mouth is. Because you saw him not practicing. You thought you were going to tease him about running 25th. He said he was going to run 15th. Here he is running second. I'd say that's it's a pretty good turnaround from where he said he was going to run. Or finish, at least. We'll say finish. We don't know what's going to happen just yet. 23 laps in.
Look, Josh and I are friends. It's you and Josh that are ops.
Oh, come on now. That's not true.
Excuse you. Josh and I are friends. You and Josh, you've got some kind of weird rivalry.
It's a bromance. It's a love-hate relationship.
It's something all right, but yeah, I mean, Josh Conover is running really well tonight. I actually initially picked him for fastest lap of the race, and he doesn't currently hold it. That would actually go to Brian Jones, I believe, but he said that he would be nowhere. He said he'd be nowhere in the conversation for it, yet here he is, running second place as Malone continues to drop farther and farther back, down to 5th now, as Noah Blackwell goes by. A career day so far for the 99. We'll see if that keeps up. Gladulus, by the way, cycled out to 23rd. He is 45 seconds behind these race leaders, as Malone is not quite done with that 99 car. Now I think he is. And this would be your first kind of checkpoint. If you want to play this race in even parts, you'd come in at the completion of lap 24. That would be this time around the flag stand. Obviously, again, these top 7, everybody through Cody Anderson stayed out on the opening yellow to save fuel. And then behind that, Chase Durheim pitted. He, of course, had damage in that opening crash. Hunter Sr. pitted. Those guys can go a little bit farther, and so I'll be curious to see exactly how far they can go. Potentially as far as about lap 28, as Nick Gillis is exiting the pit lane. And Malone is in. There goes the leader, Ryan Jones, by the 28. Here's Malone entering the pit lane. Malone comes down to his box. Only 4 tires and fuel, certainly for him. He's not alone. Isaiah Watrous comes into the pits in car number 40. He'll come in for service. Malone, left side's up, left side's down. Drives away. Was not a good angle in the box. That's going to slow him down a little bit. 14.03 though for his stop.
Brian Jones on the way in.
He gets back out. Brian Jones apparently coming in this time. And here comes car 45. He's going to pull all the leaders in. Jones, Conover, Tucker, Blackwell.
Housen and Anderson behind them. Look at it. Coming on in, 6 cars all at once.
Rusty
Race off
Rafferty
pit road.
in the pit lane. Rafferty is towed to the pits.
Huh?
We'll check out the leaders' pit stops. The 27 is towed to the pit lane. Let's see who's out first among this group. That's the grill of the pace car. There we go. Wait for the 45 to release. He should, of course, head back out first, but we'll wait and see. Yes, he is the first to leave. He'll exit, followed by Conover, barely over Blackwell. And then was that Matt Vorndran? No, sorry, that was a different. I think that was Tucker. I saw him third and got a little bit confused. That was Tucker getting out there, and they blend right back up with Malone. That's pretty much perfect timing on their part, as Moats also pitted that lap, and Skavnicki is in this lap. But let's go back and see what happened to the 27 to pull him into the pits via a tow. And that is damage for the driver, I believe, out of Maryland.
Rolling right through the grass right there.
Didn't quite get the paint scheme loaded onto his car in time. We had one for him, but I think he's still a rookie to this car. Didn't realize that the super speedway and speedway cars require different files. But here's Rusty down into turn 1. So he's just going to pull down into the grass. It looks like something outside of the sim. Like he had to get off the sim really quick and just exit out to handle whatever's going on. Rafferty pulls off, and that'll do it for car 27 this evening. Battle for the race lead, potentially, is... Well, it's a change for the lead, not so much a battle. 16 cars in. That is Chase Durheim. That leaves Hunter Sr. as the race leader currently, Zach, so he's going to get a couple of laps led here under this long run. Norman stays out as well. And you see, Jones is up to 8th in this cycle, the top 7 yet to pit under this run. Actually, Durheim, well, he's down in the way, so he will cycle out. So the top 6 yet to pit. And there's Baumler in the pit lane in the background.
As everything cycles out, still 6 cars left to pit. Brian Jones, Conover, Malone, and Tucker, you see them in the top 10. They are realistically your race leaders.
And here we go.
As
more
I say
stops.
that,
Senior's in, Norman's in, Durheim is in. That's going to bring Brad Fulham as well. Anthony Krobach will keep digging. He did stop under that earlier caution. And so the number 49 will grab himself a lap lead, it looks like here. He was a great part of the field last week at Daytona. Led some laps in that number 49 car and definitely showed some strength on the restrictor plate track. Today here at Pocono, not having as good of a run, a little deeper in the field, but staying out on this long run to get himself a lap lead. Caution!
Caution is out! This is why I like staying out. It's Brady Moats. Oh, no.
That's my fantasy team. Finished 5th here in June. Brady Moats mentioned he was having brake issues. Can only imagine this might have something to do with it. We're going to look back at it for the driver of the number 8. He was racing with Isaiah Watrous here, it looks like. They're going back and forth.
This is going down into turn number 3. So the wreck happens on the front straightaway, or at least carries into that.
Watrous is
he slides
also
up the racetrack
in the pit lane, Zach. So this has to be something involving the two of them. They were just ahead of Vorndran, who currently runs 12th, for reference.
So into 3, Watrous gets in there. Oh, just gives him a slight bit of contact, and Brady corrects into the 40.
Wow.
See Matt Vorndran right around the outside. Well, as much as I don't want to, that would be a nomination for Murder's Esports Murder's Mega Miss, even with such slander on the back bumper of that car. We're talking about back bumpers. There's the contact right on the right rear. It just grabs him.
It was almost like the 8 started to pivot a little bit free, and then as he was trying to modulate the throttle and you know, get back in a measured way, the 40 just gassed up a little bit too soon, Zach, and kind of tipped him around. Here's the onboard from Watrous' machine. It's like he gets there, the 8 gets back in the gas, is kind of sideways, and then Watrous kind of teases him the rest of the way around. And then it's almost like Brady just hung the left and said, if you're going to spin me, I'm taking you with me. Or I guess hung the right, not the left.
I didn't want to say that, because Lord knows that we don't know.
Well, so here's the entry to the corner for Brady Moats. And here's as he gasses up. You see he's correcting back to the right a little bit, even before he gets hit, and then just hangs it right. And
I mean, he's already turning right the whole time. I don't want to say that he just kicked it back.
I'm not going to say he intentionally took out the driver of the 40, but I don't think he was particularly worried about saving it at that point in time. Let's see here from the pit entry camera. This is going to be a wild ride right to the pit entry, and you see just boom, hooks right back to the right. Big hit for the two of them. And then Watchers just brings that car straight to the pits, right behind Josh Adams. And yeah, both of those cars, I think, are likely done for the day.
Well, Race Control is going to place that on the 40 car. Put him to the tail end of the line here, but with both of them not necessarily rejoining the field at the moment, I can't imagine that it's going to mean much of anything at the time being.
This has been a slugfest already. We're only 31 laps. So we've only had 2 cautions, Zach, but that opening crash really did a number on the field. And, you know, we've had a couple of retirements along the way as well. I mean...
Yeah, the latest one being Ronnie Norman.
Oh, wow, you're right. So Norman with trouble.
That's my fantasy.
Everybody going to be falling back on maybe a drop week this week in fantasy. But, you know, just looking in our chats and hearing from Rusty Rafferty, actually, that his VR disconnected for the first time he's ever, you know, had that happen. Within 2 years of using VR on iRacing, it just disconnected, and that's why he had to pull off, which certainly makes sense. If you can't see, it's the same as if your screen went black. If you can't see, you can't see. I mean, is there anything else we need to say about that?
Not about that, but at the front of the field, Conover has taken over the race lead over Dalton Tucker, Ryan Housden in the 3rd spot, Cody Anderson, Hunter Sr. So with the green flag pit stops underway at the same time as as the caution coming out, it is really shaking up the whole field. Brian Jones and Jacob Malone are a little bit further down inside the top 10. Noah Blackwell is outside the top 10 in the 11th spot.
Well, do you know why is that?
Changing hands.
That's because Donald Kite actually led the charge to the pit lane under this yellow. He came in for what looks to be fuel only in the number 21. Chase Durheim also came in, but for 2 tires, followed by Jacob Malone. Yes, the top 6 stayed out on the racetrack. Jacob Malone came in for 4 tires and fuel. Jones got 4 tires and fuel. Blackwell took 4 in fuel. Gladiolus took 4. I mean, everybody else pretty much took 4 in fuel, except for Matt Vornger, and he took 2. And Brad Fulmer looks like took fuel only in the number 91. This is absolutely a must. Either, or at least get fuel. At least get fuel under this yellow. We keep talking about the fuel mileage games in this race, and particularly at this racetrack. These guys run 77% fuel load in these races. And they have a million sets of tires, it feels like. 10 change sets, 11 for the race total. You may as well. Come get the tires, get the fuel. See if you can eliminate a pit stop under green later on. I don't really understand the move by the top 6, but of course hindsight is 2020, and we left that year behind, well, years ago. Josh Conover into the restart zone. Jake Christenberry on his inside as a lapped car. Green flag is back out. 32 complete out of 120. Good to see LJ Hernandez out in the YouTube chat. Tried to have a run at things last week at Daytona. Did not go so well for him. He, of course, runs the number 6 over here when he's able. There's the run down the Long Pond straightaway. Everybody back single file, Zach, into turn 2.
Taking a good lead right now over the field. He's going to pull about 2 car lengths on Dalton Tucker, who's pulling about 3 car lengths on Ryan Housden. This is the fight for 4th. Anderson and Christenberry down into 3. A nice steady flow through the corner as Hunter Sr. looks onward in the 5th spot. Anderson clears. He's up to 4th. Oh, excuse me. Christenberry is a lap down. That threw me off for just a moment there. He's the first car 1 lap down.
Chance Durheim in the top 10. He's going to have company from his brother Chase Durheim down the backstretch. It's good to see the 17 back in the field this evening. These races honestly just don't feel right without the 17 in the field. Up the racetrack goes Christenberry. Chance Durheim had a slow corner. 16, 17, 18 down to turn number 3. And here's Brian Jones in the 45. And Chase Durheim getting the go-ahead. He pulls out ahead of that battle. Jacob Malone, Chance Durheim side by side to turn 1. Chance, oh how nice. He's giving the 18 room down into the corner. They do go 3 wide, trying to pass the lap number 11. And oh, Rusty Rafferty, wow.
It's happened again.
I think he was trying to get out of the pit lane, and rather than Kevin LePage the field, decided to dive down into the grass. I think.
Well, considering he's rolling right now, I would assume you might be right.
Yeah, here's the exit.
Coming out of the pit lane.
Exit out of the pits, and he's got to make that blue line to be legal, and then he can pull down into the grass and let these guys go by. That just was not great timing, and everybody was coming at him right there. He said, I'm out of here. Rusty's just trying to learn these cars and have some fun racing tonight.
More power to him. At least he knew to get out of the way.
I give him kudos.
On the 27 on track. This is the fight up front. Look at Conover. Big washed up in turn number 1. Tucker's going to reel him on in. And he's going to stay on the back bumper. Take a look.
Dalton Tucker trying to get back to the point, I believe, for the first time this evening after winning this race back in June. And Tucker dives down to the inside of the tunnel turn. Off the corner. Conover has the run, nearly door banging out of turn number 2. 3 is maybe where the 3 car can get a leg up, but then back out of the corner. That 48 is going to have the run down the front stretch, Zach. I definitely prefer to be on the outside battling anytime here at Pocono. You can make some passes on the inside in turn 1. Otherwise, the top is the place to be.
Another run down the straightaway for Tucker. This is really reeled in Ryan Housden. So now we've got a 3-horse race for the race lead. Conover missing the bottom yet again. First it was the DEI cars, and now it's Electric Motorsports machines missing the bottom just ever so slightly. And Conover, I'll say, in terms of the team fight, he's in a bit of a losing battle right now. Vincent Arthur's out of the race. Caden Henry Oaks is out of the race. The only other car through Hendrick Motorsports, actually, Hendrick was still a 3-car team at the time, wasn't it? No, it wasn't.
No. If you look at the results, 25 is out of the race already. Matthew George, I mean, he's alone.
Correct.
Josh Conover's alone right now. He's got no teammates. George is out, 30 laps down. Arthur's out, 21 laps down. And Caden Henry Oaks is down to 31st, 34 laps down. So he's got no help right now as far as the team situation goes. And certainly I don't think he's going to get any help from any of the 5 or 6 or maybe even 10 cars behind him.
Running the middle line yet again. Leaving that bottom open for the clean air on the nose of the 3, who's going to get another good run. Where's he going to go? Tucker takes a look down the straightaway, but he's going to stay in line. No, he is playing tease with Conover right now. Conover does not leave him the line going into the tunnel turn, and that takes all the air off of the nose of the 3-car for Tucker. A little cat and mouse game right now.
By the way, I mentioned earlier, as we were trying to get this race started, that I had a delivery, not of ice cream today like we had at Montreal, but of a Rockstar and a bottle of water. I want to give a big thank you to Kayla out there if she's watching or listening today. She ran that into me. She does her best to take care of me during these races, and it's certainly appreciated.
Well, the team fight's heating up right behind Conover, the race lead. Actually, for the 2nd spot and the 3rd spot. So Anderson is closed in, and it's, if I'm not mistaken, that's 3 RCR cars right there. The 3, the 15, the 33. All pulling up together with, no.
The 3 and 15 are DEI cars. I would understand the confusion. for the 3. Of course, that was still an RCR at the time when Earnhardt still drove it, but here in NORA, that 3 is being run under the DEI banner. And the 33, I believe, is still an RCR entry. But Anderson races part-time, so it doesn't really affect him as much to not have teammates in these races. The 3, 15, the 8, and the 81 are your DEI entries.
Well, hold on. Now I have questions. First off, Housen hit the wall off of 2, I believe it was. That's why we're seeing this close race right now for 3rd. But Earnhardt was running for Richard Childress, though.
I just said that.
So how is the... Right, but DEI... Look, I was 4 years old. There are still things that are confusing to me for back then.
Well, there goes Anderson into 3rd spot over Ryan Housden. This guy's having a good race. And if these guys do run to the extent of their fuel load, that would put them pitting somewhere around 12 laps from now, 10 to 12 laps from now. It's around lap 50-ish. We can start to expect them looking towards the pit lane. Whereas the drivers who pitted under that most recent yellow can go closer to 55, 56. So keep an eye on that as these laps wear on. I don't know exactly how far they can go. It depends on if they're saving fuel or not, and it seems like a lot of these guys, more drivers are shifting tonight than we saw here in June. I recall, I actually watched the broadcast back earlier today, talking about Jordan White and some other drivers doing a lot of shifting when maybe that wasn't the way to go in this car. It seems like a lot more of these guys have found a good way to shift in these cars down in turns 1 and 3 specifically, not so much in turn 2. And Zach, that's always going to impact your fuel mileage at this racetrack. I mean, I get you can gain pace out of it, but I feel like the fuel mileage is a much more important thing to go for in most cases. If you're battling somebody, sure, drop a gear, disappear. But if you're just riding around trying to complete laps, get to the end of the race, I don't see much of an advantage. I mean, we're talking maybe a few hundredths. I don't think that's worth it. I think the fuel saving is a lot more beneficial.
Well, I'd like to understand what the consensus is of downshifting in this car. I did not think that even on the iRacing.com fixed setup, that downshifting would be necessary in this car. I could go back and watch a race from 2005, and I don't remember seeing downshifting in these cars. So this is just very new territory for me in terms of how this goes, as there's contact for the 2nd spot. Anderson not giving Tucker an inch through turn number 3. Now we saw Dalton Tucker give up that bottom line ever so slightly. That allowed Anderson to slide on in there. Now Conover's pulling away. And this is kind of what that 48 car wants to see, because if he can break the draft and get away from these guys, I think the delta, correct me if I'm wrong, is about a second when it comes to drafting at these bigger tracks. That should allow that 48 car to relatively scoot away and kind of run his own race without having to be so defensive.
It's not just kind of what Josh Conover wants to see as he leads this race. It's exactly what Josh wants to see. These two battling for second so that he can try and get away and maybe save the car a little bit. As we've received word from Brady Moats as to the exact issues with his sim rig this evening. A new setup for him is, whoa, Tucker's free off of turn 3. That's going to lose second place by turn 1 for sure. There goes Anderson on by. But his brake is either full lock or 0. He can't get it to fix. I don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, maybe he needs a profiler for whatever new brake pedals he has. But the big bit of news to drop here, Zach, is he is now suspended from next week's race at Indianapolis. Why?
No.
Because he has too many caused cautions. That is a rule here in the league. If you cause too many yellows at any given point, there is kind of a cooldown. They can eventually fall off your record, I believe. But if you cause too many cautions too quickly, you get suspended, as there was a big contact there between the 3 and 33. Here comes Durheim. Hausden's looking around. Here comes Malone. It's busy down in turn 3. How do they handle it this time? Durheim dives into 3 underneath the 3, and he's going to slide back now.
Everybody's fantasy lineup is taking a bit of a breath right now, waiting to see how Conover handles the rest of this race and seeing if Tucker slides any further down the field, as he has lost about 5 tenths really, to Cody Anderson. Durheim down to the bottom underneath Malone, at least one of the Durheims, that is. Housden falling backwards. Everything's just starting to take shape. Malone to the inside of Tucker. This is for the 3rd spot.
By the way,
Down into turn number 2.
We've had a new retirement in this race. That is going to be... Oh, Malone, hang on! Wow!
What a job!
Watch out, turn 3. Durheim dives to the bottom, nearly across the bumper of the 45 of Jones. This is picking up big time. Just want to mention the 40 of Watrous has parked it for the evening, but these guys are getting exciting. Durheim back on the inside of Malone down to turn 1 this time. How is this going to work out? Durheim with the run. You see Hunter Sr. pulls in behind Blackwell in the background. Side by side, this is for 4th. And Durheim's just barely clear. Senior tried to stick underneath the 99 there off the corner. It did not work. I want to go back, Zach, and see that save again for Jacob Malone.
That's a heck of a save.
Yeah, it was. This is going to be the whole run from turn 1 to turn 2. Just watch the 18 here.
He's way wide right there in turn number 1. Just washed right up the racetrack, but he had the draft down the back straightaway, so that benefited him in the sense of getting the run to go underneath the 3 of Tucker here, and then down into turn number 2. I mean, he's got room. Just gassed it up too early, and there it is. Wow. He could have easily turned back up into the field.
That very nearly was a pretty large crash there off the corner. We'll get another look at it here. Watching the number 18 of Malone. He's got those couple of road course wins, trying to take it to these guys on an oval again here tonight. And look at this off the corner, sideways, nearly into Tucker. Whole lot of lock to the right, then the left, and hang on.
Look at those hands.
Yeah, that's what we're going for next, is a look inside the car really quick.
Red on black, red gloves on a black wheel.
Pink gloves,
pink
from what I can tell. Even better, even more high vis. Watch this. Gassed up, and I just stepped out from underneath him. Wow.
What a job. That was awesome.
I want to take one more look back at this real quick, Zach, because I want to point out what I think caused it for him. Watch when he gasses up in the middle of the corner. Once he puts that power to the rear wheels, you can see Tucker's on his door. He's up the racetrack, up the racetrack, up the racetrack. I think, Zach, that's an effect of the aero in these cars. Obviously, these cars don't have nearly the right side that the Gen 6 did, where it was completely flat and you basically leaned on the quarter panel for all your grip. But I do think that was the 3 taking air off the right side of the 18, to where as soon as Malone hit the gas to get out of the corner, there was no air for him to lean on for right or rear downforce. And he just, the car stepped out. I mean, it was a great job by him to hang on, but it really looked to me like he just didn't have the grip to lean on when he hit the gas to actually get out of the corner safely. All of this has continued to lead to the 48 pulling away. He's got a 2-second gap back to that group.
Yeah, and I was going to say, with how these cars are, the side panels of these race cars in this time, the best way that I know how to describe it is like an awkward W. It's a little bit wider in the front, it narrows up through the center, and then kind of widens back out as the skew comes into play. And you talked about it, Andrew, the aero plays into a fact there, and it takes all of that air. If I could explain this and do my best Larry Mack impression, it creates an aero effect, a bubble effect as Blackwell hits the wall off of 2. It creates a bubble effect that pulls the air next to the race car, and instead of dumping it off the side of the race car and keeping that side force, it pulls it up on that spoiler and creates a really weird downforce effect that just dumps the air on the rear of the car and snaps it around. Please tell me I explained that right as Conover hits the pit lane.
Well, the fans aside, they always have something to say on our explanations, but Conover into the pits here. That turns the lead over to Cody Anderson. And this is a little bit early, but I can't say I'm surprised. He didn't have that same drafting help as everybody else, but he comes in a little bit earlier while these guys...
Anderson just called it out.
Yeah, so I went back
to
the June messages in our production channel with the league admins, and they typically give us kind of an idea of how far they can go on fuel, and Gladulich was the one to say 24 laps, Zach, and I think that's important. He was the one to say 24 laps because he typically saves and goes longer than anybody else. They didn't give us a new update for today. I wonder if their true range is closer to 22 laps, and with saving they could hit 24. As the 33 and 3 are in, that's Anderson and Tucker in at the completion here of lap 50. That turns it back over to Chase Durheim at the front of the field, along with Jacob Malone and Brian Jones. They are now your top three as this race carries on past lap number 50. One thing we've not yet checked out today is the MX Wraps weather conditions. Look at this. I mean, it is a very warm racetrack this evening at Pocono. 119-degree track temp, and the time in sim is, it's of course today's date, or yesterday's date rather, 2:45 p.m. We've still got a lot of daylight left to go. I don't see it cooling down much.
I don't see it cooling down at all. Having been at this track during this second race, or, well, during its one race, I would say, at that point in the schedule, it is hot, it is sticky, the sun is constantly being down, and if there's no cloud cover, it feels even worse. I can tell you the last time I was at Pocono, for a race that is, I left that racetrack pretty much looking like a cooked shrimp. I mean, I was burnt.
Brian Housen hits the pit lane. I can tell you his car does not look cooked. He's looked pretty good tonight. Around the top 10, top 5 even. He's down and away. He's going to merge a little ways behind Josh Conover. Conover already down towards turn 1. He, of course, the first driver to pit in this cycle. Durheim continues on, and this bunch can go probably 2 to 3 more laps, I think, on fuel. I say that, and here comes Durheim to the pit lane. Leinbach exits his box. This turns the field back over to the hands of Jacob Malone. This has been a very different race to what we saw back in June. We've had a couple more big cautions, certainly some big incidents to get this race started, and a larger percentage of the field out of the race. As we started 32 tonight, we're already down 10 of them. It just was not that way back in race 14 when we were here for June 1st's race.
I'm gonna say, we've had a lot of drivers dropping out of this race. Just to go through it, you've got Caden Henry Oaks, Ronnie Norman, Brady Moats, Kyle Rochelle, Vincent Arthur, Matthew George, Trenton Johns, Isaiah Watrouse, Anthony Krobach, Michael Durham Jr., and Michael Ponder Jr. That's a lot of notable drivers. Drivers that need to make the chase. Which actually reminds me, Brady Moats is suspended, so how is that going to affect his chase hopes?
That's going to be huge. He won't be able to get any points next week for Indianapolis, and that's going to drop him down quite a bit. And, with he and Tubb both missing, effectively, a race here at this point in the season, since Brady can't race next week, Tubb wasn't here tonight, that's going to move that cut line down a little bit. Potentially behind Gladwell. It's going to help Donald Kite, even Christenberry, who we talked with at the top of the show. So keep those guys in mind. We'll get a better idea of where things are at into Indy next week, as Malone pitted this lap, and he is exiting the pit lane. There he is behind Chase Durheim. Durheim is a little ways behind Tucker, who is also pitted. Tucker is 2.5 seconds behind Conover. So the spread from Conover to Malone right now is about 7 seconds, as here we go, more pit stops. Senior Blackwell, Durheim, Christenberry, Geilis, and Skavnicki, and Adams back there coming into the pits. A lot of cars this lap.
I was going to say, if we're rolling through the pit stops, the first car 1 lap down right now. Oh, Blackwell! I think he missed his box, slid through it ever so slightly. That's going to cost him some time. Saw the rear end kick out as he pointed the nose in. That's not going to fare very well for the 99, but what I was trying to get at, the first car well not down right now being Christenberry, his competition is dropping out of the race. You've got Ronnie Norman, Brady Motes, Tubb, the three guys that are mainly in front of him, they're not in the race anymore. And he's going to be able to gain some position. We talked about it in Gas and Go.
You know who is in the race, though, is Donald Kite. I know Kite is farther out than, you know, Tubb, Gladgelich, Moetz, all those guys, but with Norman losing point, I mean, you just went over it, but with Norman and Moetz out of the race, Tubb not here, that is 3 of the 4 he needs to have a bad night. Kite, that is. Beyond that, he obviously would like a bad night for Jacob Gladgelich. Jacob, though, running here in 3rd spot as he gets passed up by Matt Vorndran here to turn 2, and maybe going to try to switch back. He thinks better of it.
Think about another one, Andrew, that's a little bit higher up that we really haven't talked about in the points. Vincent Arthur. He's out of this race. He's going to get his points, but he is most certainly out of the race and behind all of the drivers that are behind him.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that
if he
could be detrimental walking into Indianapolis.
If he had stuck around for those 20 more laps, he could have passed 5 more cars. As here we go, more pit stops. This is Jones, Vorndran, Gladgelich, and more.
I thought he was going to hit the attenuator.
Everybody in for stops. Thankfully, nobody did hit that pit wall, unlike Donald Kite back here in June. Kite, by the way, also hits this lap. And there's Malone, fastest on the racetrack. But that is not helping him catch the number 48 just yet. Josh Conover leading by a healthy margin, but I can tell you that 3 car is starting to run him down.
He's got a long ways to go. Nearly 2 seconds separate the leader and second place. And we're quickly approaching halfway through the race right now.
Let's look at last lap
laps the last time by.
Yeah, this is pretty important to look at right here. Conover 55.8. Same for Tucker. Anderson even a little bit slower, but Malone 55.291 last time around, and he is making up ground as Conover slows down a bit more, Tucker slows down a bit more. Anderson actually picked up. Malone dropped a couple of tenths, but still picking up tenths on the guys ahead.
Yeah, relatively even lap times for Conover and Tucker, only difference by about 4 1/1000ths of a second. There you see Rusty Rafferty just up the road looking to go another lap down. He currently sits 9 down from the race leader. That would put him 10 down at the time being. So rolling up on halfway, Andrew, I don't feel like this race has gone in any direction that I would have foreseen. I expected Conover to be a little bit further down inside the top 10. I expected Tucker to be comfortably leading this race, and I expected him to be fighting Malone for the race lead with, you know, a few other of our regular top 10 contenders sneaking in there in some way, shape, or form. I'm really impressed with Noah Blackwell. We've seen how competitive he can be on the short tracks. Notably, we saw him have a good run at Bristol, but he's still sitting up here inside the top 10 trying to hold off Brian Jones.
Yeah, there's Blackwell's on board. 10 seconds behind the leader. Currently chasing Hunter Sr. in the number 4. Everybody, by the way, has made their stop for this cycle. And if they're only running, you know, 20 to 20 laps, or 20 to 22 laps, rather, that puts these guys pitting again. I would put Conover pitting again about lap 70. And then again at 90, and again at 110. There's still a lot of pitting in these guys' future if we don't have cautions. Also, I must give another shout out to my fiance, Kayla, who has brought me stuffing this time around, Zach.
Bang.
Battle here for 3rd. There goes Malone, the point buy from Anderson. Anderson, though, dives back to the bottom of turn 1. not giving up here on this third spot, but now I think he might relent and allow Malone to do his thing as Anderson now has to worry about the 16 approaching.
Ooh, in the wall. Anderson tagged it just a bit coming out of the tunnel turn. Durheim right behind him. This is Chase Durheim, that is, not Chance. Chance being in the 17. He's a little further down the running order, but both comfortably inside the top 10 at the moment. This is closing in on Malone. Or Anderson, excuse me.
And that was halfway right there for all these drivers.
What's the closing speed?
He's trying to get there. Has a run here off of turn 1.
The closing rate right there in turn 1 and the exit speed out of the 16 was really, really good comparative to the 33 car in front of him. But
I will say Durham does have 2 lap fresher tires than Anderson ahead. Malone, one of the last of the top 10 to pit. Actually, the last of the top 10 to pit was Brian Jones. So keep an eye on the 45 as these laps go on. He is also a driver that has some really good stats here at Pocono within the league. I don't recall them all off the top of my head, but 25 laps led tonight, fastest in qualifying. He led us to the green. Has only been as low as 10th place in this entire race, and that's pretty hard to do.
fantastic job. Keeping himself in contention. I think when you show the consistency of staying inside the top 10 throughout the whole race, not even going lower than that, that's really good. When you're able to show consistent track position, you know you've got a good piece. Talking about track position, Durheim looking at taking some away from Anderson. Gets a little tight through the tunnel turn, loses some ground on corner exit. That dirty air really playing a factor. And one thing I forgot to touch on, Andrew, it's one thing to catch someone, it's another thing to pass them. You see a lot of people complaining it's too hard to pass, we don't see a lot of passing. Well, I like that style of racing, Andrew. I don't think it should be easy to pass someone. I don't think you should be able to have it graciously gifted to you on a silver platter. You gotta work for it. You've got the better car, you've got the better skill, you can pass the car in front of you, and that is exactly what Chase is trying to do here to the inside of the 33. Trying to make it work, can't quite clear him off of one, falls back in line behind him.
I guess, Zach, I don't necessarily disagree. I do think it should be easy to have opportunities to set up to pass. Right? Like, you should be able to have off-throttle time specifically, and not just locked down by aero, and not have enough motor to ever be able to actually do anything with anybody in the corner. You got to have a bit of time where you're off the throttle to have the opportunity to even pass. If you're just locked down, wide open, you aren't able to do anything. You see that happen with the older aero packages in the NASCAR Cup Series. It's crazy that we're saying older. Oh boy, Anderson lifted early. Durheim got him there in the left rear. But the pass is made. Durheim gets ahead. Anderson falls behind. That was a big wake-up call to both drivers, I feel like, into turn 1. But to finish my point, we're calling them older packages now, where NASCAR on 2019 to 2021, really, took a bunch of motor out of the cars, put big spoilers in the back, and said, boys have at it, basically. Just let these guys, do their thing. It was a whole lot of wide open racing. Fans were not exactly appreciative of it. And thankfully, I guess this is a great segue into our car specs graphic that we can bring up. The 2003 NASCAR Cup cars that we're looking at this evening. Zach, tell us about them.
Well, the Chevy and the Ford bodies were 358 cubic inch pushrod V8s with 900 Screaming Eagles underneath that hood and 530 pounds of torque, which is way more than my legend car. But they had the 4-speed H pattern gearbox, but at that point in time, they were at the point where you didn't have to always use the clutch. You saw it a lot on road courses where they could just tap the gas to set the race car, but you see the heel toe coming back, made famous again by Shane Van Gisbergen in the NASCAR Cup Series. Still, two-frame chassis with a 3,400 pounds minimum weight with a 22-gallon fuel cell and a AA arm front suspension with a truck arm and a panhard bar for the rear suspension, which helped a lot with how these guys wanted to make adjustments on the race car on the fly, especially in the pit lane. Obviously, the Goodyear Eagles that have been on these race cars since the 90s, after the Hoosier Wars and the Tire Wars were over, with 110-inch wheelbase on these race cars. The only thing that's not really noticeable, or not even present at the moment, is that Dodge was involved with these race cars at that point in time. Toyota came a little bit later on in the series, I think officially making their debut around 2006 or 2007. But these cars raced about 1992 to 2007 before the car of tomorrow was introduced. It was introduced halfway through, or at least at certain points during the 2007 season. But these cars were very famous with just the overall style and the racing that they brought to the table, which obviously kind of segues into that point of what we saw afterwards, once these cars moved away from their, what's the word I'm looking for? Their manufacturer specs, we'll call it, because when the car of tomorrow was introduced, they went to a standard body style. They took away the little intricacies that some of the Fords and the Chevys had with their race cars to make them overall more Chevy or more Ford. Now it was more just decals on a race car than personalization, we'll call it. So the racing that these cars brought to the table was phenomenal. It was eccentric at the time. It was something we really wish we had, because 900 horsepower, Andrew, is amazing. I love 900 horsepower.
And it was that much cooler when we went all-star racing back at Charlotte, put an extra 10% in, and had nearly 1,000 horsepower. I'd love to do that again. Honestly, I think it'd be cool. Hopefully Josh Conover's listening. I think it'd be cool to put a 10% power boost in these cars for the entire chase. Why not?
I don't see why not. I think that's a perfect suggestion.
I will say, these guys, these teams, through this era, the engines were putting out more than 900 horsepower, frankly. I've heard numbers in excess of 1,000. Obviously,
I
NASCAR
heard 1,100 at one point.
Right. NASCAR has put out rules and regulations throughout its entire history of what the car needs to meet, and it's obviously gotten more and more restrictive as time has gone on. Of course, now they run tapered spacers, which are effectively restrictor plates at every racetrack, just to different degrees. Which, if you mentioned that in 2000, boy, you would have got some weird looks. It was already some weird looks when that safety measure was put in place at New Hampshire. It was out of necessity for some crashes. Of course, we lost Adam Petty at New Hampshire in testing, which that isn't a track that you would have thought would have ever taken somebody like that. But long straightaways, throttle hung, and unfortunately, Adam's no longer with us. But you know, you would have got weird looks even at that time, suggesting restrictor plates at tracks like New Hampshire, let alone everywhere else in the NASCAR calendar. And now we effectively have them to restrict the engine output to about, 725 horsepower now on short tracks, 650 or 670 yes. on intermediates. That's the goal. I can tell you, before we started getting those more restrictive engine packages in 2013 and beyond, these engines were, and they still are technically, but were capable of in excess of 1,000 horsepower. I would love to see that. And hopefully we can do something with that, but that may be a little bit too much conversation for the mid-race. We are right on the cusp of pit stop, Zach, so we'll shelve it for now, but Conover should be in within the next couple of laps. If not this lap, very, very soon. And it's perfect timing because you can see Tucker and Malone are running him down. Especially the 18 of Malone.
That they are.
He has caught right back up to Tucker.
That was a big jump out of the gas right there from Malone. But as we roll through this race, Andrew, the opportunity for a caution to come out to potentially bunch this field back up is greatly and greatly decreasing. We just had 2 more drivers dropping out of the race, that being the 59 car, Ross Lineback, and Rusty Rafferty ended up having an issue as well. So both of those drivers out of the race. So less cars on the racetrack, less chance for disturbances. Yeah, less chance for anything to go wrong for these guys on the racetrack. I'm going to knock on wood as I say that. But, you know, as drivers start dropping like flies, we're setting ourselves up for a green flag run to continue on. As you saw Cody Anderson get loose at the top of your screen. These guys are just not bunched up. This is what we used to see back in the day, Andrew. This is the type of racing that we see now, too, where it gets spaced out. Now we focus less on the overall racing and more on the strategy aspect, because they can easily get bunched back up again. You could say they could close that 1.3 second gap with a solid pit stop on Conover. It's just a matter of when. We've seen Josh be one of the early pitters out of this group, and it's helped. The longer those guys stay out on those older tires, the less work that Conover has to do to get that gap built back up again.
With the current stagger of these pit stops so far, I don't think there's, you know, much real possibility of cutting a stop. I think he's safe to cut a pit whenever he wants. This is lap 22 for him. We have not seen these guys go beyond 22, I don't think, most of this race, unless they were able to save for a caution. So keep that in mind as you see battles in the background. Of course, Tucker and Malone are battling here for second, but also Senior, Housden, and Blackwell. Housden losing a spot there to Blackwell. This is getting, as Hunter's hood suggests, juicy.
Blackwell loose right there. Side by side again for the second spot as Conover takes you to the pit lane. Tucker and Malone stay on the racetrack as they fight for the race lead now.
Side by side, turn 1 coming up. A couple of the strongest drivers in the series right now. Jacob Malone goes down to the bottom, and he puts the move on the 3 of Tucker. That is good for the lead for now. Tucker trying to fire back, just doesn't have the drive off the corner. Those slightly better tires from Malone, I think, doing the job.
And the 18 car finally in front of the 3. They've been duking it back and forth for majority of the race, and I think they're right in the point in time where they're ready to just get this race over with and get to the end. We've got less than 50 laps to go. We're past the halfway point. We're getting into crunch time, we'll call it. And I think now Malone is clear. Tucker should respond. This is what I was about to say. He should take it right now, take the opportunity to get to the pit lane.
So Dalton Tucker in for service. This should bring a handful of other cars with. Now, Cody Anderson pitted the same lap as Tucker at the previous run. He keeps going. This actually may be the only other driver to...
Josh Conover.
Yeah, this might be the only other driver to pit this lap. As I heard somebody just shut the engine off, or at least put the clutch in into turn 1. Was that Jones, I wonder? He's in third, so probably not. But I heard somebody put the clutch in.
Was it Durheim right behind him?
We're going to ride with Jones here for a second. If he's saving in turn 1, there's a decent chance he's saving in 3 as well. No downshift here in 2, it sounds like.
I'll give it a minute here. Let's see what he does in 3.
We also have static cameras we can choose specifically for turn 1. But just listen for the car that, you know, has that engine note go flat. No saving there for Jones in 3. As Anderson will now pit in the number 33. He comes in. Let's go ahead and do exactly what I said. Let's just listen. Not a one of these cars so far.
Run of the mill.
Not a single one of those cars put the clutch in. That was interesting. Saving. Somebody did. I heard it. I know a clutch going in when I hear one. As we got Jacob Gladulich, Josh Adams, who's 2 laps down, and Matt Vorndran battling here. Vorndran and Gladulich have been around each other for the last, 40 laps. And it seemed like they were getting frustrated with one another on the previous run, but Matt is doing a great job at his first start here. He told me earlier today he didn't know how this race would go. He's apparently only raced at Pocono once before, and I'm not even sure that it was on the legacy scan of this racetrack. So for him to only have one previous race of Pocono experience, jump into a car that he's not very familiar with, and in a field that he's not familiar with at all, he's only raced against some of these guys, I believe, in Legends cars. He's doing a fantastic job. He has been in the top 10 a handful of times today. There you see as high as 5th. No laps led yet. As low as 32nd because he started there. It's been all up from there.
What is that on the deck lid?
That, don't worry, that's not actually anything disparaging the good name of Zach Murtis.
I was going to say.
I'll let you do your own investigative work. We got more pit stops to talk about. Malone pitted that lap, and he has cycled back out about 2.5 seconds behind Tucker. But Tucker much closer to Conover this run. I mean, he is only a second back of the 48. So as they start to get on the far side of these pit stops, Tucker is a whole lot closer. Malone 2.6 seconds back. Chase Durheim cycled out as well. He is another 4 seconds back, it looks like, of Malone. And then Anderson Sr. and Housden all line up behind them. Meanwhile, look at these two, Blackwell and Jones. Blackwell should be pitting, if not this lap, the next. And then Jones should be able to go a handful more. And he'll be joined by Kite, Gladjulich, and Vorndran in that longer run strategy. I'm surprised to see Vorndran in that group, but I mean, Donald Kite, Jacob Gladjulich, those are a couple of the guys that we can count on saving fuel and extending runs all the time here in this series. As here comes Blackwell to the pit lane, Jones will keep digging. There's the clutch in. It was 100% Brian Jones right there. He put the clutch in for just a moment. It wasn't long, but it was just long enough as I can tell you Chance Durheim pitted that lap along with Noah Blackwell. But it is 100% Brian Jones, who most recently won, by the way, I believe at Michigan not too long ago. So he's got 2 on the season now. Atlanta early in the season, Michigan a few weeks ago, about a month ago now. Would love to add another win to the column here tonight. Drops down to 3rd gear in turn 3. Let's see what he does here off the corner. Does he pit? No, he'll keep going. Again, I would expect him to go about 1 or 2 more laps from here. I mean, it's going to be close if he can go any farther. And if he can go to lap 80, which, I mean, he certainly should be able to, he might be able to cut 1 stop out of this race. Might. Versus a Josh Conover, for example. I mean, this is what we talked about, Zach. It's always worth it to make sure you're topped up on gas because it might not seem like a lot. It might only be a lap here, a lap there. What's the clutch at again? Must be listening to us. It might only be a lot of mites. Well, it might only be a lap here, a lap there, but it stacks up over the course of a run. When you go green long enough like we are now, as he puts the clutch in again, I think he's trying to get either back around or even 1 more lap out of this thing. You know, he's now offset from Conover by 6 laps. This time around it'll be 7. The next time around it'll be 8. And that's easily stacking up closer and closer to a half of a run, and that's about how short Josh Conover is to the end of the race. Clutch it again there as these two start to fight one more time. Down the front stretch, Vorndran and Gladjulich. And they dive down into turn number 1. Pass made by Vorndran for now. Here comes the number 20 back on the inside. These two just cannot be separated.
Currently fighting for the 3rd spot. The longer they stay out, the less they have to go, Andrew. Or at least the less they have to go. Oh, Gladjulich! Vorndran has to jump out of it.
The 20 got the curb big time, and look at this, right behind them, Conover and Tucker for position. Conover hangs a left down into turn 3 as Vorndran's still fighting with Gladulich. Guys, they've got a pit soon. I would not go to the inside of them off of turn 3.
Or jumps out of it, lets him go. Doesn't get to the pit lane, though. Catch the draft off the 3 car and try to move back up there.
Donald Kite pits this time.
Tucker gets separated from
That's
Conover by
exactly
the
what
20 and
Josh needed.
Gladulich. But look at this. Round the top side. Easy pickings for the 3 car on the 20.
That's
Oh,
okay.
and again, maybe not. Still hanging tough.
That's okay. He got some separation from Tucker there. I will say, I think
Here's
Conover...
Malone.
Yeah, Conover might want Malone to get through this easier, but Malone's having a really tough time getting through the 72 and the 20. Malone's still stuck behind Gladulich here through turn 2, and they're teammates.
Yeah, that's a bad spot to get stuck at, too, Andrew. That's going to compromise his run on corner exit.
Down into turn 3 here. Is Jones going to pit this lap? No, he's already down into turn 1. This is now lap 25 for Jones. He's trying to get himself extra insurance here to maybe run a little bit harder. As there's Vorndran and Gladulich pitting. This now turns things right back over to these couple of cars. Jones, I don't really know why he's going extra laps right here, Zach. I don't think he can...
Wonder if the
do what
missus...
he's trying to do.
I wonder if the missus would be able to enlighten us if she is tuning in as Brian Jones is currently trying to make it work. And we've had another driver out of the race, Andrew.
Brad Fulham.
Another one. Yeah. That's 19 cars on the racetrack, and only 14 of them are on the lead lap. Fulham was running in the 18th position. He's 1 lap down at the moment, so a few cars still on the racetrack. So Adams will pass him up, Scavnicki will pass him up, and that's really it. Everybody else is just gone. I mean, guys like Kyle Rochelle really never even got to see the green flag, as Brian Jones is in the box and Conover is back out in front.
Into the last 40 laps of this race. This has definitely been a longer one, it feels like, Zach. And I don't recall the June race feeling like it took this long. But I'll tell you what, this one has felt like it's been a day already that we've been at the racetrack. I don't know why, but we had that caution so early, and it feels like so long ago that we were talking about Brady Motes having those brake issues. Now he's suspended from Indianapolis, and let's take a look back at exactly how this schedule looks. As Jones has been down and out of the pit lane. He is now 9th place, by the way, trying to run these spots back. He's not even 7 seconds behind the leaders. But looking at the schedule for this season, there you see, you look through the middle column. We're at race 21 next week, Indianapolis. From there, it's back to the final road course of the year at Watkins Glen, then Michigan and Bristol, California and Richmond. The only 2 tracks that are alike, and they're hardly alike, are Michigan and California. And they're the same shape, sure, but Michigan has a whole lot more banking than California. I will say, since we're running Legacy Michigan, they are both very bumpy, but neither of those racetracks really drives that similarly, because you've got to attack them very, very differently. The setups are very different because you have so much less banking at California.
Andrew, you talk about it being a day. It feels like we just started with these guys, and now we're halfway through the season almost. Actually, we are past halfway. Montreal was the halfway point.
Yeah.
We're into the second half of the season. It seems like just yesterday that we were making fun of Josh Conover for not being able to seal the deal in the first race at Daytona and a 4-wide finish. Now we're watching him go out and try to get his second win of the season. You know, like, thinking back of all of the different storylines that we've gone through carried into tonight. We talked about how Conover showed all of this speed, but was never able to get there at the end due to either circumstances out of his control or just not having the closing pace. We talked about how Tucker has gone on and dominated races as Guileless is into the pit lane now to get service on that 28 machine. We talked about Vincent Arthur not being able to make certain races, and well, that storyline still seems to be relevant as we roll through the season. But you know, seeing how storylines started at the start of the season, how they've adapted and carried on as we're rolling into the second half.
And we've had a couple of favorites early in the season drop out entirely. Dustin Kleva, Kenneth Chaney, they both come to mind. Even Jared Skinner was worth talking about early in this season. Wayne Sparks as well. I mean, he's had to leave the points racing behind, and he has not made a start in a couple of months now in this series. So we have definitely seen an evolution of the NORA Retro Cup Series here for this season. A little bit faster than you might expect. For a full-length season like this, we've definitely had some comers and goers.
Season's underway too.
Yeah, we've been hearing rumors about this 48 driver, not the car, but we're hearing rumors. Of course, Jimmy Johnson drove the number 48 at Hendrick Motorsports from 2002 through 2020, right? I mean, a long time, and finally turned the reins over.
18 seasons.
Wouldn't that be 19? 02 through 20?
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, nearly 20
you're
years.
counting the year, too.
Yes.
Jesus.
Nearly 20 years in that number 48 for Hendrick Motorsports, and obviously left a legacy behind with 7 championships, and made a lasting mark on NASCAR. And you see that even now with him
competing in his...
With him running Legacy Motor Club, more or less, which is effectively what has become of Petty Enterprises, which then became Richard Petty Motorsports, and has kind of evolved into something new with 2 7-time champions leading the way. And I think that might be a way of handing the reins over outside of the Petty family to another driver of the same caliber. It was Richard Petty for so long, and I mean that team dates back to the 50s, of course, with Lee and Richard and Maurice and all of them. And now Jimmy Johnson, our 7-time champion, if you will. You know, there was the 7-time champion of the 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s, I guess, with Richard Petty. And then Dale Earnhardt through the 80s and 90s. I would argue even partially into the 2000s, I suppose. Unfortunately, not very long there. But really, Jimmy Johnson came in right away. And it took him a couple of years to get going with Chad Knaus. But very quickly, they were a force to be reckoned with. And once they found what worked in the 48 camp, they found it. Anyways, big old tangent. The point being, this guy may not be in that car next year. Josh Conover may not be in the 48. And I say all of this because you don't really see those kinds of drivers change rides that run or that have run the 43, the 3, and the 48. And even now, in Jimmy Johnson's wake, you've only seen one driver in the 48 for Hendrick Motorsports since 2021, and that is Alex Bowman. Of course, there's rumors about that every other week, but you've only seen the one driver in that car since Jimmy Johnson. You've only seen the one driver in the 3 since Dale Earnhardt, and that's obviously been Austin Dillon with familial ties there with Mike Dillon running the 3 in the lower series for RCR, and obviously being family with Richard Childress. But those cars have not really moved around. The 43, I will say, that's a very different history. Of course, that was handed off to Hamilton initially in the 90s, and Andretti and Green and several drivers since then. But it's a little bit, what's the word? Not surprising. Well, it's surprising, sure, but that's not what I'm looking for. Shocking, maybe. It's just not something you would expect to see a driver giving up the 48. You know, you think in this kind of series, Jimmy Johnson, I mean, he's locked in this car for 15 years. To see Conover potentially leave this ride, I mean, that I think is worth noting. And obviously there's a lot more to be figured out with this series and all of their lineups and whatnot in 2006 and beyond. But that at least I felt was worth note and worth the tangent.
If I remember correctly, floating back to the tangent a little bit, Penny Enterprise, when it was sold to GMS and Jimmy Johnson, is the different Petty Enterprise than we saw in the early 2000s, because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it Evernham's team that then got bought out by Petty?
It's the same team. There is a very there's a lot of branches of that team tree, if you will. By the way, we're only a few laps away from Conover pitting for what would be not the final time, actually. He's pitting very soon, and he's going to have to pit again, as here we go. Malone to the inside of Tucker. This is a good battle for second place. That's just kind of been waiting. I mean, Malone has been getting back to the 3-car the last couple of runs, but this is much sooner in the run to get back alongside Dalton Tucker, and Dalton just not able to do anything with it. Kind of has to watch and let the 18 take the jump into turn 1. And of course, as we've covered the last couple of runs, the 18 has better tires. Hit a little bit later, but here comes the 3 back on the inside.
These two are just not giving up on each other, but they can't keep fighting like this. They're never going to catch Conover. This is exactly what he wants to see. Just them fighting it out, staying in it, and letting him scoot away. Look at that. He's gained about 2/10 on both of them. Up to 9/10 of a second separates them.
Yeah, you're telling me that that's what Josh Conover wants to see. That's absolutely what he needs as well. Be able to run these last few laps of this run without too much contest from behind. This is everything he is hoping for and more.
Hold the phone. Brian Jones only has to make one more stop. You said Conover's not going to be good at the end if he makes this stop.
Well, and that's why I was talking about Brian Jones in the previous run. I wasn't sure exactly what he was trying to get to. I don't think he is going to be able to stretch it quite as far as he needs. There's still 27 laps to go. He has run 9 so far. It's close. I don't know for sure that he's going to get there. He did extend that previous run longer than I thought he would. But that's also what I was talking about, you know, with all my mites that you referenced. Yeah, it might only be 1 or 2 laps per run. But over the course of 4 fuel runs, that's 8. 5 fuel runs, that's 10. So those laps stack up pretty quickly. Also, look at this. Malone might have Conover here before he pits. It's down to a half second, Zach. It's going to be close.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all plays out. Malone is closing.
How about this for a lap time comparison? You see Jones a little bit quicker still than these 3 as he's trying to run them back down. He is in 9th. 17.8 seconds behind them, which I think he's dropped some time in this run. But he's not worried too much about that. Yeah, you see Malone picking up big time on Conover. A half second that last lap. Tucker wasn't far behind that. And Jones did drop a little bit that lap. He's still faster than these guys, but not quite as fast as the laps prior. And I expect Conover to pit this time. If not this time, then next time. We'll see what he does. He would have to get to about lap 97 to make this worthwhile to the end. I don't think he gets there. I think he... I don't know. And 97's a stretch. To stay competitive running, you know, good lap times like this, I think you'd want to get to 98. This is lap 22. This is going to be very, very close, actually, for all of these guys. And this is going to set up well for Malone since he's got a couple more laps than Conover and Tucker both. Malone might be good.
24-lap field window.
Well, remember, I think that was Gladwich's saving number. I think it's more like 22. Here comes Malone. Okay, look at Conover. He wants the bottom. I think he's pitting this lap.
Well, he did just get really free on exit. He's sliding up into Malone. I think this would be the time to respond with heading to the pit lane, and that he will. Conover.
Yeah, he has
down
defended
into the pit lane.
He has defended very well on the outside all night long. For him to want the bottom, that was a telltale sign that he was pitting that time around. There's Kevin Baumler getting back on the racetrack. He is 14th, now 1 lap down to this guy, Jacob Malone.
Now, what Conover would like to see is those two fighting it out, but they're way too far apart for that to happen right now. As Malone hits the wall, he gets into the wall, and that is going to bring Tucker back into drafting distance. There's Durheim, 5 seconds back from these guys, and then it's Senior Housed and Blackwell Jones, Anderson, Durheim, and Conover should come out of the pit lane in the 10th spot. No, Kite gets that 10th spot right now as they're cycling through. How do these drivers respond, though? How does Malone and Tucker respond to Conover's sudden move into the box? They're rolling. I think Tucker is going to take it to the pit lane. That leaves Malone all by himself.
You
might be
need to
right. He might
run.
actually be able to make it.
Yeah, you need to run as long as you can. I said about 97 is kind of the lap you're looking for. You need to run as long as you can here. And Malone is doing that. Durheim as well. They have done just enough to be on the edge. I think Brian Jones has done too much, actually, now looking at it. I wasn't so sure. Now I'm sure that he's gone too far. I think he saved too much as Tucker comes in for service. I will tell you, Zach, when we were here in June, we had an idea who was going to win this race. It was down to the 9 and the 3, Dustin Kleba and Dalton Tucker. And it came down to strategy between them. Kleba ended up having to pit and give the lead away to the 3 car. This time, I have no clue. I think it'll come down to the 18 and the 3, maybe. But Tucker may not have enough. And I don't know that there's a world in which Jones catches these guys if Malone is good to the end on one more stop. Durheim's in.
No, this is tight now. This is really, really tight. And Conover's come out right in front of Tucker.
Literally right in front.
Yeah, they're literally bumper to bumper. So how does Malone respond?
He's got to keep running as long as he can. Durheim down and away. He'll get back on the racetrack. Here's Blackwell and Jones. They're fighting. Jones gets ahead. And if you recall, Zach, Brian Jones was 17 seconds behind Conover when he was racing with Malone. Malone took the race lead fair and square from Conover. The gap now 15 seconds between the 18 and the 45 as Malone will finally pit. This is lap 98. I believe, yeah, he should be good from here. He just ran 22 laps. This is completing 23. It'll be 22 to the end. So the 18 is very well good to the end. And there you see Senior and Housden behind. A lot more cars got this right than I initially thought.
I'm about to blow your mind here. Very quickly,
Are you suggesting the 45 take 2?
No. I decided to pop myself onto the driver radio, see what I could do some digging on, and I asked our soon-to-be cycled-out race leader, well, actually not, because Tucker has passed up Conover. Josh is, checks notes, 3/4 of a lap short on gas. Everybody else is good but him.
Really?
That is what he told me. That I tried to hop on the Hendrick Motorsports channel and see where these guys were at with their strategy, and Josh said that he has just ever so barely missed the mark. If there's any way that he can save, which honestly I think is what he did, I think while we were cut away, he might have let Tucker get in front of him so he can utilize that draft to try and save what he can. It's gonna be touch and go.
That downshift to third is not going to help him.
No, it's not. It's going to be touch and go.
He's led a lot of laps tonight. You see 46 there as his count. And this is the difficult thing about not having cold, hard, SMT data to look at, right? And we're going off of what we've been told back in June by the race admins and such. That was 24 laps then. Sure, that's fine and dandy. It's been more like 24 these last couple of runs. But early in this race, Zach, Conover and others were pitting early. They were pitting at lap 21 and 22 of a run. So we started adjusting our expectations. At least I know I did quite a bit. Okay, maybe these guys can only go 20 to 22 laps. And suddenly, these guys find their fuel mileage. They find the extra, 3 yards of fuel line in the car, and they're able to go an extra couple of laps than what they were doing 100 laps ago. Anyways.
It starts to make you wonder, though, if Conover would have ran maybe 1 lap longer in one of his runs,
right?
Maybe, just maybe, it would have played the difference.
Right.
And we look at Malone here after tapping the wall. He's lost a little bit of ground to those two. And he's got some time that he needs to make up. But I think with the added bonus, and I say added bonus because this has really turned the race topsy-turvy, with the added bonus of Conover potentially being short on gas, he's really just going up there to try and race Tucker to see if he can take this lead away. And with 20 laps to go, Andrew, we're getting to that point in time where the numbers are going to work themselves out a little bit more, and these guys also now have an onboard fuel calculator without having to use a third-party overlay.
This is true.
So they can see real time where the status of their fuel is at, what they've got in the tank, as we've got cars still ducking into the pit lane.
And you know what, Zach? That's actually new since we were here in June. That was released in the June build a week after that race. So,
and they have a track map.
Right, so this is definitely a very different game that these guys are playing, literally. Well, I guess it's the same game, but updated. A different version of the same game, I suppose, than these guys had in June. But, yeah, final pit stops being made by a lot of drivers now. We've still got Brian Jones and Matt Vorndran digging along. We'll see when they come in, but...
Yeah, what's this guy's game?
Well, he's now 20 laps into his run. I think his best shot might actually be to pit now, as Malone has just passed the 48 of Conover, who is now desperately saving gas just to finish this race towards the top end of the field. The win is no longer really a concern for him. He's just trying to finish. I think if Jones were to pit now, that would be kind of cut things down the middle. I think he went too far. Unless he intends on doing 2 tires or fuel only. If he's going for 4 tires, I don't think he should go much farther.
What if we got a late race caution? Imagine.
Well, sure, that's a big what if. I don't think he should go farther if he intends on 4 tires. And he's coming in. So I think he's saying the same thing I'm saying. But he's just not going to gain that much by running longer here. He ran too long and gave it too much time, the last run. I didn't think it was enough at first. And that's just me doing bad math, 30 laps ago. But here we are. He is looking good. To make it, at least.
Well, I think if we run green, your top 3 is all but solidified. As long as Josh Conover can hang on.
Don't doubt Durheim for a top 3.
I won't just yet. I mean, let's look a little further up the road. Going down into the tunnel turn, the next car to go 1 lap down is Gladulich, and then it's going to be Baumler.
Well, Baumler is a lap down. It would be Gladulich and likely Vorndran with the way this is going to cycle out. Following them would be Kite, who runs 11th, then maybe even Chance Durheim, who runs in 10th. I don't think they'll get that far up. I think they'll likely only get the 20 and the 72, who's off the pit lane now. Vorndran has lost significant time. He actually had a bad entry into the pit lane that time, as with one car down low on the racetrack down the front stretch. I think Skavnicki, that's who it is. So Skavnicki gives way to the leaders. He's already 4 laps down, make that 5. One thing I want to do here, Zach, before we do Driver of the Day nominations, it's something we're tentatively working on. I want to go through the field. And we're going to begin with the final car on the lead lap. How about Matt Vorndran in the number 72, racing this evening under the Shelmerdine / Whiplash Racing banner, if you will. Just kind of filling in, seeing what he see what he thinks of this series and this car and everything. Hopefully he's hooked and wants to do more of these. He's had a great run tonight. Obviously this long run has kind of hurt him over the course of this run, but he's been a lot of fun to watch in the number 72 for sure. And hopefully we see him back for some more races. I know he told me earlier today he wants to run Bristol at the very least and maybe a couple of other short tracks. So we'll see. As up the road by about 8 seconds is Jacob Gladulich, who runs in the 12th spot. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, Gladulich is not one that we really expect to see running as far down as he is, and I say that, he's just barely outside the top 10. He has been one of the fuel strategy maestros that we constantly look at for staying out, running long, and well, it's certainly put him in the position of being in the 12th spot right in front of him. It's Donald Kite running the 11th spot in that number 21 car. He's found some solid footing after starting in the 29th spot. He's up a good margin.
Yeah, he is worth noting for a driver of the day. I don't know that I would nominate him here today. I believe he won it last week at Daytona. But yeah, a great run so far out of Donald Kite. And this, compared to how he fared here in June, is a big deal. He hit that pit wall hard on a long green flag run and ended up out of the race very early. This is a much better day for the 21 car. He has righted things in the best of ways, and this is going to help him big time to try and make the chase. So he is getting the program together. Farther up the road, you'll find the 17 of Chance Durheim back for the first time in several weeks. Good to see him here. Not really doing anything for points this season now that he's missed so many races, but having a good top 10 night. I'm sure bouncing off of his brother Chase a little bit as he works to catch the 33, who still has that battle scar on the left rear from Chase Durheim's right front.
Yeah, Cody Anderson has been very prevalent in battles on track tonight. He was fighting with Tucker. He was fighting with Malone. He's fought with just about every single person inside the top 10 with an effort to stay up there. Only one lap left on the day. He's been as high as, well, second in some cases, but up to the lead at least one point in time today. And up in front of him, Brian Jones, who has been on the very offset strategy, Andrew. We've noted it throughout the course of the broadcast, but Brian Jones has tried to find some decent footing with his strategy. It's kept him in the top 10. He's only been as low as 10th, so to stay that consistent all race long has been a phenomenal job for that 45 car. And continuing on further up the road, Noah Blackwell, we've sung his praises just about all broadcast.
Yeah, Blackwell's been great tonight. This is a much better run than we've seen most of the season when he's run. He doesn't have many starts under his belt here. 10 total coming into tonight for the entire time that he's run in this series, and I think that's 10 this season, but I could be corrected on that. Regardless, hasn't run many races, but tonight looking very good, and he's chasing down last week's winner, Hunter Sr. And I know this isn't a world-changing run out of the 4-car, but this is definitely a good, solid response to his own win a week ago at Daytona. There's been a lot of naysayers this season for his wins at Daytona, Talladega, now again at Daytona, but let's not forget he won at Las Vegas earlier this season, so he has that intermediate win under his belt. Sure, that came in kind of lucky circumstances as well, but you have to be good to be lucky. You got to be in that spot to take advantage of it, and Hunter Sr. has been fantastic at doing that this season. And this is a solid run to add to his, hopefully, chase campaign. Should be a chase campaign. He's still second in the championship, gets the wall there, but looking very, very good as we get closer and closer to the chase, Zach.
Yeah, closer and closer to the chase we go. And Ryan Housden in that number 15, he has been solid just about all race long. He's done a phenomenal job of keeping himself in contention all day. And you bring up Vegas. If I remember correctly, Houston was in good competition to be in for the race win at Vegas, but ultimately was not able to seal the deal at the end of the race. Ended up 61 laps down at Vegas, but certainly making a run for it today. And up in front of him, one of our newest race winners, Chase Durheim, finally broke the glass ceiling and punched his way in to victory lane at Chicagoland Speedway, beating out Jacob Malone in that number 18 car. And Durheim has been one of the drivers that we think is a championship contender, Andrew. He's putting it on display tonight, running inside the top 5 and chasing down the guy who underfueled his race car. That would be Josh Conover in the 48 car.
Conover up ahead. He runs third, 5 seconds behind the leaders, and he's continuing to lose time. I don't think he's going to have a podium tonight. I do think Durheim's going to get him. He might be safe for 4th, though, as Housden still runs in 5th, another 6 seconds back of the 16. Really, our stars of the show are the next two we're going to see. Dalton Tucker, Jacob Malone, as they're at a turn 1 now. Tucker won here in June. It was his 5th win on the season. This would be 6 if he can get it tonight. Malone looking for his 3rd if he can win here. This would be his first oval win after winning at Sonoma and Montreal earlier this summer. And Zach, driver of the day, 10 laps to go. Who we got?
I think I'm going to take a pretty easy pick here and go with Malone. He has been an absolute road course phenom since coming onto the show. The 2 road courses left in the season have both gone to him. Actually, excuse me, we've still got Watkins Glen coming up, so there is still added potential for him to go for another road course, but he has been on fire. We thought he was just going to be our big road course ringer, but he showed up and showed out on the ovals as well. And coming into the Tricky Triangle, he has showed that he is still largely competitive, and he is going for the race win today against Tucker. My second pick on the day, I'm going to have to go with, honestly, I'm going throughout the field here and just kind of taking a look-see at everything. You brought up Donald Kite. If you don't pick him, I'm going to keep that as an honorable mention on the day.
Look at the 24 spots, though, for Durham.
I see it. I'm here for it. But I'm going to go with the other Durham. I'm going to go with Chance Durham in that 17 car. He has picked up 20 spots on the day. He started 30th. He's running in the 10th spot. Now, while not nearly as impressive as 24 spots are running in the top 5 like Chase, it's impressive in its own right because he is stepping back in. He's showing back up, and he's still showing that he's relatively competitive. Running in the top 10 right now. He was as high as the top 5 in the 4th spot. I think it's worth noting for a Driver of the Day nomination.
Yeah, the skill has not melted away off that number 17 at all. I'm going to have to go ahead and take the race leader for sure, Dalton Tucker. Look, he hasn't been a victory lane since June 1st. It's been a month and a half since he's won a race, and, you know, sure, he's taken the points lead in that time, but he hasn't really been as strong as we've expected. He's led a lot of races, sure, but he just hasn't really looked like Dalton that we saw through April and May and into June. And here he is. He's back. I know he's only got 10 laps led tonight. He's kind of been second fiddle to Josh Conover a lot of the evening, but now that Josh's strategy has kind of not worked out for himself, here is Dalton Tucker. And if you recall back to Chicagoland, I was very, very vocal on Tucker's fumble of the strategy that night. That led ultimately to Chase Durham getting his first win of the season. On the other side of that now, Dalton Tucker is the one managing the strategy correctly, and Josh Conover, the one fumbling it potentially, having to backtrack at least a third, if not soon to fourth, trying to save fuel and make it to the end. And man, Chase Durham is going to be really hard to pass up. I really want to go with Noah Blackwell. Even Matt Vorndran, I want to single them out quickly. I'm not going to nominate either one. I am going to nominate Chase Durham, but first I want to go to Blackwell. We just went through the field, but I mean, there you see him up so many positions. Or not up so many positions. Doing so much better. Up so many positions as for Vorndran, but doing so much better than we've ever seen him here at Blackwell. We talked to him earlier tonight. Had a little bit of confidence, conservative confidence, I'd say, and it was well placed. A top 10 run for him on the way. Maybe should have been top 5, but there you see Matt Vorndran, kind of the shining star for me this evening. 32nd to 13th, 29 spots. Didn't get a chance to qualify himself in. Took a starting spot at the back, and boy, what a decision that was this evening. But Chase Durham gets the nod from me. 24 positions. He has just been getting so much better as these races have gone on. So both Durham brothers on the ballot for me, that's for sure. I think they both deserve it, and I think Chase might even have that spot ahead here very, very soon. But Zach, we are into the final 6 laps here at Pocono. There's your race leader, Dalton Tucker. 5 laps away, this time by 12.5 miles to go. That vote rather is live now over on YouTube. I'm sorry if you're watching on another platform, you've got to head over to YouTube to vote. Just keeps it centralized and makes it easy for us to follow. And these guys have that little bit of lap traffic ahead. Matt Vorndran, I'm sure, will play nicely for them, Zach, but it's worth noting nonetheless.
As the race rolls on, Andrew, I mean, it's all just winding down, and we're gonna end up running out of laps, and it's gonna be either Malone or Tucker walking away with this win. And I'm pretty sure Malone wants these lap cars to just dump some dirty air on that 3 car. A little wiggle off of turn 3. Thank you. Turn 3. Malone is just doing whatever he can to hunt it down. And ironically, Andrew, this is kind of crazy to me, because the last time we were in this position was not 2 weeks ago. Malone was chasing another driver down for a race win. Ended up finishing second. I feel like maybe he's going to try to... Yeah. He's running in the 4th spot right now, getting ready to pass Josh Conover.
Here's the move. Durheim down to the inside in turn 2. Tries to take it. Conover trying to hold him back. And I will say, I appreciate this, because in 05, frankly, if this were just any old race in 2005, I don't think that you'd be trying to fight for this spot quite as hard as Conover is. I think realistically, you take the 4th place points, accept it. You're both, you know, pretty much locked into the chase at this point in time. I don't know if this is worth potentially crashing over, but here they are doing battle. Conover wants those points. These guys are racers. I appreciate about them. They still race like it's 05 because they have really clean races, but man, at the same time, they don't. I mean, that's just not a battle you would typically see 21 years ago from a car that is trying to save fuel to make it to the end of the race. But this, meanwhile, the 18 of Malone, is there anything left up his sleeve? He's got 2 lap better tires, Zach. I don't know that he can get the 3 car, though, in these final 2 laps.
He's pushing as hard as he can. Vordran is dumping air on that 3 car right now. The front straightaway is his best chance to close the gap even more. It's down to about 0.4 of a second, and popsicle sticks are in the air. The greatest advantage that Malone has is the dirty air on that 3 car, but it's also his greatest disadvantage, because down the front straightaway, Tucker just gets a huge pull off the 72. Big closing rate down into turn 1. Time's running out for Malone. He's got to find a way to get it done. He's not going to have a lot of options. It's 0.3 of a gap. Going down to turn 2. There you see the fight behind them for 3rd.
There's another one back there for 6th. Hunter Senior, Brian Jones. So
here we go.
Second battles. The 3 checked up that time off of turn 2. Can Malone get there into turn 3? There you see the gap into the 3rd corner.
The dirty air. He's stepping out again. Big run through turn 3.
White flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. One more time around the tricky triangle.
Got to hit your marks, Andrew. That's all you can do. Malone with a big charge. He missed the corner. He missed it, Andrew. This is what we were saying. Hit your marks, and he's sliding, trying to keep power down.
That's it. He is cooked. Those rear tires are way overheated now. That is it. Tucker just has to run a half a lap back to the stripe, and he's got win number 6 on the season. He's got to contend with these lap cars still taking air off the nose. Adams and Vorndran both. The 72 trying desperately to stay on the lead lap in his debut start. And I think he'll just about do it. It's a slow run, admittedly, through turn number 3 for the number 3, but Dalton Tucker, just like Hunter Sr. at Daytona, will sweep the Pocono races, and you see the spin for Malone. He's into the pit lane. Can he get back onto the racetrack in time? No, he already lost 2nd and 3rd. Conover will still podium tonight. Malone will just barely get back before Housden. Wow.
Put it on a t-shirt, Andrew. He said it on the radio coming out of turn number 1. I choked.
Blackwell gets to the stripe in 8th, Anderson 9th. Chance Durheim will come around in 10th. But how about the win for Dalton Tucker tonight? Number 6 on the year. If you count the All-Star race, you could call it 7. One car left to finish. That'll be Matt Vorndran. He is exiting turn 3, it looks like now. And across the stripe goes the 72, but there is your race winner, getting the congratulatory nod from his teammate Ryan Housden. He earned this one. And just like Senior at Daytona this year, Dalton Tucker able to sweep the Pocono races.
What an insane way to wrap this race up. We thought Malone was going to give him a shot.
He tried. He tried down in turn one. It looked like he was going for a bump and run. I don't know if he just lost where he was on the racetrack or what there, but it definitely looked like he was going for a bump down in one, and Malone just couldn't quite get there.
Well, I think Malone should have been a little bit more patient.
Yes, turn 3 be the place to do it.
Or turn 2. He was very close. And he was going to have a run off of turn 1 if he hit it right like he did the lap previous. Because he gained majority of his time going down into turn 2 with 2 to go. I think if he would have set the run up right in turn number 1, he would have had a shot into 2. Could have stepped out like he did on previous runs and complete the pass in turn 3.
You see our race winner. He has parked it down in victory lane, trying to get the car to maybe do a bit of a burnout. I think it's sputtering though, Zach. I don't think he's got much in the tank. He's going to try to get somewhat of a slide out of it, but no, I don't think.
How about the pit lane? Gladula just pushed Conover. There you see it. Because Conover ran out of fuel, doing their best Lightning McQueen and Dynaco right there.
And, well, strip weathers, not just Dynaco. But, yeah, Dalton Tucker, just enough fuel to finish the race. And there's one car doing some extra time on the racetrack. That is Kevin Baumler, unfortunately, still winless, even though Super picked him to win this one tonight. Let's get a look back at our unofficial race results in this one, Zach. A fantastic win, certainly, by driver number 3, but boy, everybody else wondering what they have to do. Bear with me, hit the wrong button. Here we go. We'll go back and get into the replay now as Dalton Tucker wins at Pocono Raceway. A quick look at your race results, unofficial race results, of course, Zach, but there you see the 18 laps led. That's ironic, I suppose, considering it was over the 18 of Malone. Durheim, hey, he technically gets second, but that does not tell the story. That margin of victory does not tell at all the story that we saw unfold this evening. Dalton Tucker, though, able to cruise to victory that last run over Jacob Malone, Chase Durheim, and Josh Conover. Durheim and Conover do get the podium positions, and Malone spins off of turn 3 and has to settle for 4th place. Houston 5th. There you see the rest of the top 10. Brian Jones, I mean, solid run out of Brian. I know he's going to be wanting more, and just wondering where he went wrong in the strategy call. I think he just ran too many laps there in that middle run, but he was already behind these guys. It's hard to say what he should have done differently, as he'll still finish 6th over Hunter Sr., Noah Blackwell, Cody Anderson, and Chance Durheim back for the first time in several races.
And rolling outside the top 10, 3 cars left that finished on the lead lap. You'll find Donald Kite in the 11th spot with Jacob Gladulich in that number 20 finishing 12th, and Matt Vordran in his debut race ends up finishing on the lead lap in the 13th position. Granted, he was the last car on the lead lap, but he still made it work, as Kevin Baumler ends up the first car 1 lap down in that 14th spot with Nick Hom right behind him. Jake Kirstenberry, Josh Adams, John Skavnicki, Nick Geilis, and Brad Fulham ending up your top
Zach, we had a lesson on this. What metro area do you live near? Raleigh, Durham.
I don't want to talk about it, man.
Brad Fulham. You're going to have some angry North Carolinians on you here soon.
Look, man, I was born in the North. I was born in the North.
I give you that. You were born above the Mason-Dixon. But 21st spot this evening, Rusty Rafferty in the 27. I mean, early exit. Glad he was here tonight and got to run almost half the laps, but out early regardless after some VR issues. And hopefully he gets one of these races soon where things just don't go wrong and he doesn't flip. Ross Lineback finishes in the 22nd spot. Glad to see he swapped paint schemes, swapped wraps in the final minutes of warm-up there, where we would have had 272 cars on the racetrack this evening. Isaiah Watrous finishes 23rd, Brady Motes 24th, and all these guys out super early at this point. We saw the initial crash there early in the race. We ran, I want to say, 90 laps green to the end, with Krobach out 91 early, Ronnie Norman out 26th spot in 26th spot, 92 laps early. Michael Ponder Jr. out early, along with Trenton Johns, Vincent Arthur, and Matthew George. And you see the 3 Hendrick cars that finish at the back. Arthur 29th, George 30th, and Henry Oakes 31st, as Rochelle and Durham make up the final couple of spots on the grid. Durham did not race this evening, actually. He did not make the start, but did make it into practice at the start of the evening. We'll, of course, talk to your top 3 drivers. First up, how about our race winner? If we can find him here. Hang on. We gotta... These guys, they never report to the cool-down room. We'll go ahead and grab the driver of the number 3 who makes it 6 wins now on the year. 6. Can you believe that number, Dalton? I'm sure you can, considering you've run a solid season to this point, but kind of dry the last couple of races, not able to get to victory lane at Chicagoland. The road courses went to Malone. I'm sure this feels good to finally get back to victory lane tonight.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't a good stretch of tracks for me. I had good solid finishes, which is all I wanted there, but I felt like I really gave Chicagoland away with the strategy and the mishap on pit lane at the end. And I wish I could have gone back and tried to redo everything. I don't know if I could have held Chase off on that race, but it kind of killed the momentum a little bit. I felt good going into those races, and that stretch was tough. So it's nice to get back in victory lane. I felt like I had a car that could win it tonight. It's just when you get behind somebody, it is extremely tough to break that bubble. And being in second behind Josh and having somebody in third come up on me, you get aero tight from the front, but then you get aero loose from the back, and it kills you. And there's a couple times where I lost second and a half from it and had to work myself back. So I'm extremely blessed to get a win, and that was honestly one of the hardest races I've had to drive, with saving fuel at the end and trying to hold off Jacob.
There was a lot to manage. You guys ran, 80, 90 laps there, green flag, no time to rest, constantly changing gears and managing fuel. How much easier is it, though? Of course, we saw you win this race back in June, sure, with the fuel mileage going on there, and Dustin Cleveland just not quite getting it right that night, but it's a completely different game now that you've got that fuel calculator that was added literally the week after that Pocono race a month ago.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if it's maybe my head, my brain. That calculator doesn't work for me. It's like it tells me I have more fuel than I actually have, and I just use the typical black box that we've had with iRacing since I started, and I just base it off that. And every time I hit the line, I try to make it go up 0.1 the whole time. And when Jacob got close to me, I had to quit clutching going into one. That was really where I was saving. And I kind of noticed where he got in that bubble where I could kind of air block him. And luckily I was able to keep him back there, because I think I told him on the last lap he probably would have won, because I was able to save. And I mean, right when I hit the line, it went to 0. And it was, if he would have kept pushing me, I think he could have probably made me run out coming out of 3.
And Dalton, of course, Indianapolis next week. It maybe is the 2 most similar tracks that are back-to-back this entire summer stretch. I guess only because a corner of Pocono matches a corner, or a couple of corners, at Indy next week. What's the game plan there other than try to go get 7?
Well, it's kind of funny that you compare them, because my absolute most hated turn at Pocono is the tunnel turn. And now we got 4 of them. And I'm sure on the broadcast you probably could pick up different times where different people were missing the corner, and you just slide up. And if this is anything like that, it is going to be a very nerve-wracking race, because, I mean, it's very draft kind of, you need the draft here, but also if you get behind someone, you can't turn. So it's going to be a kind of an art to see who can figure this out. And I think if anybody can get clean air and pull away, I think they probably have it, unless there's a caution.
Well, Dalton, always good to talk to you, especially now you've put a couple of more sour races behind you the last handful of weeks, back in victory lane, and we'll have to find a new headline to talk about next week in Indianapolis. Best of luck.
I appreciate it. I hope to put this 7-time champion paint scheme into 7-time winning lane or victory lane next week, so we'll see if we can do it.
Dalton Tucker going for a 7th win on the season next week, Indianapolis at the Brickyard, and we wish him the best of luck as driver number 3 wraps things up here from Pocono Raceway. Zach, that means you're talking to Chase Durheim, who just laps before the end of the race was still chasing the 48, but he finishes 1 spot ahead. In fact, 2 spots ahead in second.
I don't think he was expecting to end up in that 2nd spot, but Chase, you end up rolling out of this race, starting 28th, and you get up to the 2nd spot. 26 spots gained for a podium finish tonight. How you feeling walking out of this one?
Man, I'm pumped. It's definitely frustrating when you get second, knowing you're 1 spot away from a win. But I think I deserved 4th tonight. Yeah, I got some nose damage there and that big wreck there to start the night, and I think it was a minute 40 or 50, and I just didn't quite have the pace to keep up with these guys. But yeah, it's not a good track for me. I didn't have real high expectations. I was just hoping for a top 5, and I got a new wheel and pedal that I'm still getting used to. But man, I think if I didn't have damage, I could have gone up there and competed with these guys. So that makes me pumped for how this wheel is performed. It's a direct drive wheel and not a belt driven one like I've been using. So a lot to get used to, but I'm pumped, man. It was a great race.
He certainly put on one heck of a show to get on up there. And the fight with Josh Conover that you had, in fact, we're seeing a little bit of it here on the replay screen while we talk to you. But he was trying to save gas. He underfueled the car, I guess, just a little bit. Do you think there was anything that you might have done differently on your fuel strategy or tire strategy or anything to put you a little bit further up than battling with Conover, maybe trying to fight for that race lead?
No, honestly, I think I did about as good as I could. I was right on my number every single time, and I ran out, coming into turn 1 after the checkered. So I really don't think so. When they pitted so early, I thought, well, Josh has got to save 2 laps here over the next 3 runs. I guess he could do it, but he never really did, and then he had to save it at the very end. And I guess I've been pitting a lap after Dalton Tucker, and he ran out just before the line. So yeah, I think that's about all I could do. I got stuck behind some lap traffic for a few laps, but I don't think it really mattered. Just the little bit of nose damage was enough to keep me running 4th or 5th there.
Well, you made it to the end, which is more than I can say for a few drivers. So congratulations on that 2nd place finish. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again rolling into the next race at Indianapolis, which I'm sure is going to be a heater.
Yeah, I'm actually probably going to be gone for Indianapolis. I think it's probably hopefully the only race that I miss all year long. We're taking a little vacation with the family, so probably not going to be here for that one. But I'll be ready, getting ready for the chase here, getting everything tuned up. I'll be ready when I come back for sure.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Chase is ready to chase it, but he's going to end up missing Indy. We'll see how it all plays out with one race missed on the season. But congratulations again on the 2nd place finish. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again soon. Maybe not next week, but definitely the week after.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And that is Durheim right there, your 2nd place finisher. We're going to talk to our 3rd place finisher, Andrew, who you said was going to finish 25th.
Sure enough, pre-race, I thought this guy would finish much farther down because he's over there playing NCAA right before the race got going. But Josh, you know what? You called it. You said you didn't need practice here. You showed us exactly that you didn't need practice here. Is there some kind of secret that you just didn't want to show these guys in practice?
I wish that was the case, but no, Pocono has always been good to me. And I didn't really mean it as like a cocky didn't need practice. It was just, I kind of figured who I'd be chasing, and sure enough, that's who I was chasing. But no, just didn't really mean anything by that. Just, I've always liked Pocono, and I feel like there's really not much to learn, truthfully.
And, 48 or 46 lap sled, nearly the 48 lap sled that I was kind of hoping you'd hit. Clearly, you were on your way to a big finish here tonight. We thought you were in line to win for the 2nd time this season. It's been since Darlington back in the spring. But what went wrong there with the fuel mileage?
Truthfully, both my calculators, because obviously iRacing had to add their fancy one, and my caps one, they were literally giving me 2 different numbers. So I kind of just tried to go into the middle of both of them, and one was saying I was good, one was saying I was like a half a lap to a quarter of a lap short, like the entire runs. And yeah, when I pitted the last time, I think I had to save like I said, about a quarter of a lap. And then I was talking to Chase during that last run. I was like, the numbers were going from like 0.2 or whatever of a gallon to the good, and then next lap I'm literally dead on like 0.00 to the good. Like they were just changing so much, and I wasn't even changing how I was driving, so it was kind of confusing behind the wheel, truthfully.
And I suppose I may as well ask you this, a callback to our Gas and Go segment from pre-race. We actually talked about a couple of things that I think you've got a lot to share on. Of course, Pocono Raceway, is it on the chopping block? And talking about some schedule changes maybe next season and beyond, and car changes. Is there anything you can tell us on that side as kind of league admin, or are you just focusing solely on the driving side right now?
Really just kind of driving. I mean, all that stuff's kind of, it's up for votes until I think we do until December. So, I mean, we can kind of get an idea based on how the votes are shaping out, but obviously way early to be able to tell all that. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was kind of hating on Pocono earlier, and then we have another great fuel mileage race to where, you know, for myself, I lost the race here about a month ago because I saved too much fuel and ran out of laps to catch Dalton. And then tonight I didn't save enough fuel and still lost to Dalton. So these guys are too good, man. You got to try crazy stuff to beat them, and clearly it didn't work for me tonight.
Well, on pace alone, you're up there with Dalton and Jacob anyways, so clearly a good run here for the 48 car, and even as there may be silly season and silly schedule rumors coming up, but Josh, it was a good showing for you and for Pocono. Best of luck in Indy next week.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. We're getting ready to go qualifying for it right now, so we'll see what we can do to kind of hopefully get out in front of these guys again.
And it's Legacy Indy, right?
Yes, sir. Back in,
boy.
What is it, 09?
09, yeah. That's going to be a special one next week.
I'll give you a spoiler. Brian Jones just went top of the board.
There you go. It seems like something translates between Pocono and Indianapolis, wouldn't you believe it? But Josh, good to talk to you as always. Best of luck on the Brickyard next week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Josh Conover, always good to talk to him, and he goes third place tonight. I mean, for a long time we thought he was going to win. Then suddenly it was like, maybe is he second, third, fourth? Where is he going to finish here? Ends up third place. I think solid job there by the 48 driver this evening. And you know, we keep talking about Indianapolis next week. It is still that summer stretch. Indy, Watkins Glen, Michigan. I mean, this stretch right here, I feel like is 5 of the most summer NASCAR tracks you could get. Daytona around July 4th, then Pocono, Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, Michigan. I mean, there is no better stretch in my mind, Zach, of summer tracks to hit in a NASCAR calendar.
I'd say San Diego would fall into that right now with the current NASCAR schedule.
We're talking about 06, well, 05 NASCAR here. You know, nostalgic NASCAR. This is nostalgic NASCAR summertime racing.
I'd have to agree. I would. I'm one who likes to focus on some of the modern stuff nowadays, though, so it tends to catch me out here and there. But I can agree with you. I think we're in for a really good summer stretch. This is the definitive NASCAR stretch of old.
That it is. A big thank you to the groups that make this possible: Harpoon Design, Sparks Builders, Dark Star Garage, and NORA itself, and our partners here at the channel: Whiplash Simcams, MXWraps.com, ATVO, Murder Sports, CC's Business, the North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs helping us out at Pitstop TV to make these broadcasts possible. We do, of course, have a driver of the day this evening. I try to keep everybody guessing. I don't ever want to do it at the exact same time, but Dalton Tucker, I think, without saying, I mean, pretty much is the driver of the day tonight. I mean, he played it perfectly. No, he didn't lead the most laps tonight, Zach, but you simply don't have to be the best driver here over the course of the race, and obviously he showed that with the win, and able to get driver of the day honors as well through the driver of the day vote over on YouTube. And Congratulations, certainly, to Dalton for grabbing another Driver of the Day award this season. Next up for us on the channel, Zach, this is special. In a couple of nights, we're doing what you're doing tomorrow night, actually. You'll be racing, I say tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, and tomorrow evening at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It'll be kind of a double for the Legend Car portion next, tomorrow at Charlotte. We've got to be at the track. I'm not sure about you, Zach, but 11 a.m. for me at Charlotte.
At least 12.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day, but Legend Cars, Charlotte Motor Speedway, that just seems to fit for summertime as well, and we're doing that in the WRL Whiplash Racing League Legends Tour on Wednesday, trying something out. This is free to enter, a free track, a free car. Just come race. It doesn't matter what license class you are or anything like that. There is a place for you in the field. So if you're interested in joining in racing this event and future events, contact us through the Discord channel. You see the Discord link there, top right of the social media graphic at the bottom of your screen. So keep an eye out for that. Come join, come race about 8:30 Eastern on Wednesday night. That time might change slightly, but it'll be around there as we get ready for our next event as a league. We've been kind of ramping things up as of late, running with Sarah, running with Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series, and more. But next up, you see WRL on Wednesday. Then Thursday, it's the North American Racing League, brought to you by Moradness at Sebring International Raceway. Pros are going Porsche Cup racing this Thursday evening, followed by the All-American Racing Network All-Star Race this coming Sunday morning, July 19th at Dover Motor Speedway. And this is an interesting All-Star Race, Zach, because it's the All-Star Race, and it has a special format, but it is for points.
Yeah, they've got a bit of a different format compared to normal all-star races. I say normal, but the all-star race is anything but normal from a traditional race standpoint. So it's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it. I just got to make sure my alarm is set properly. But a lot of great racing coming up on Pit Stop TV. I'm excited for it. I know you're excited for it. It's going to be a fun one. The summer is not over, not even in the slightest.
A lot of racing to go, and a lot of new leagues. Well, I say a lot of new leagues, a lot of new racing on the way, we'll say. A new league coming. That'll be on Tuesdays later on this year in September. There's ways to join that as well through our Discord server, so check that out and give us a shout. Be fun to get you into some Tuesday night racing beyond here. And we've just been informed. Josh Conover must be watching the broadcast. The schedule reflected initially 96 laps for Indianapolis next week. We've just been informed it's going to be a longer race, much to Kayla's chagrin. We will be running 120 next week. So we'll have a couple of lap count changes, I think, for this graphic next week. 120, just like we ran tonight. Same length track, same length race. But it'll be a little more of a percentage adjustment to what they actually ran that year. And we'll be going Crown Jewel racing next week. So we'll be starting, even though it's the same length and same length track, we'll be racing a little bit earlier in the evening, it sounds like. So keep an eye out for that. But Zach, any final thoughts here from Pocono Raceway?
No, I think we have wrapped everything up pretty nicely, and we've got a nice little bow on it going into Indianapolis.
Certainly a good night of racing here at Pocono Raceway. I wanted to say Indianapolis. I guess Indy Junior, if you will. It's like half of Indianapolis, but
wouldn't that be IRP?
Maybe. I guess Indy Junior would have been Homestead initially, but regardless, a good night of racing here. We'll join you all again in a couple of evenings, Wednesday evening, from the Charlotte Motor Speedway for Legend Car Racing, where you'll be able to see Matt Vorendran potentially beat Zach Murtis in another Legend Car race. Tune in Wednesday night. Until then, thanks so much for joining us here at Pit Stop TV. We'll see you all Wednesday and beyond, hopefully next week as well, next Monday at Indianapolis.